Salon Selectives presents hair so beautiful you feel like you just stepped out of a salon.
Salon shine, Salon Selectives, Salon glow, Salon Selectives.
Introducing Salon Selectives, new from Helene Curtis. 4 salon shampoos, 4 salon conditioners. You select the combination that will give you salon beautiful hair.
Salon style.
Feel salon beautiful every day.
Salon Selectives.
Brimbor, trust me. You are master of your craft, my friend. Allow me a few days to work mine. I have not been truthful with you, Durin. I did not come to Khazad-dûm for friendship, but ambition. I did not know it. But I came for Mithril.
You have not seen what I have seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not.
You
have not seen what I've seen. You have not seen what I have seen.
The Young and the Restless. This portion sponsored by Oil of Olay.
What's going on, everyone? It's Nina Infinity. Welcome to my channel on this Sunday. This is the place where we are reviewing episode 7 of Rings of Power, Amazon's Rings of Power, aka Amazon's weird Lord of the Rings thing that puts everybody to sleep, including me, because I fell asleep again. But we're going to talk about all of that. So without further ado, let's introduce the panel. We have with us today the very awesome Disparu. How are you? Yay!
Oh, I'm good. Yeah, back again to discuss the episode. I fell asleep in this episode as well. In fact, there was one scene, even when I was awake, I rewound it maybe 5 or 6 times because I realized I wasn't watching it. Like, that entire scene's played through, I have no idea what was said. And so, like, this is an hour-long show, but it feels like it goes on forever. And even when I went back and watched it again, I'm like, I don't even remember this scene existing. Yeah. And I was desperately trying to pay attention. Your brain just wanders at all points. But it did have some good moments. Some characters flipping into entirely different people that they haven't been the entire series. And just probably the best line of the entire series with, I wish I'd left the elf in the sea. It's like, he'll learn for next time.
Yeah, we finally got a mention of the husband as well. That was interesting. But we'll get into all that. Disparu, for people that don't know who you are on my channel, please introduce yourself. Tell everyone who you are and where they can find you before we get into things.
Yeah, Disparu on YouTube. I do sort of reviews of the worst television I can find. In the most entertaining way I can, and when there's nothing to review, sort of pop culture news. But it's the worse the television is, the better I think the entertainment is. So I might be the only person in the world who actually likes She-Hulk and look forward to it every week, because that is such a massive disaster. I think it's awesome. I've got more entertainment out of that show than probably anything else that's been released, just because of how bad it is.
I still haven't seen the last episode that they finally introduced Daredevil in, because I heard so many bad things. I was just like, I don't know if I want to watch this. I'm just it's a bit of a mix. Like, they could have done him a lot dirtier than they did, and yet when it got to the end, they're like, oh, we're at the end of the episode. Quick, let's mess him up as much as possible in a few minutes.
I was about to say they made him seem like someone who had low self-esteem walking home. That's what he looked like.
Oh my
yeah, but they could have had him as a bumbling fool the entire way through, getting beaten up by everybody, which is what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So
they did they damage.
Yeah.
Yes. They just
literally
beat
too.
The incredibly low bar everyone was expecting, which is why they got compliments.
That's crazy. I still have to watch the episode. I will, because that's like the only one I have left. So I'll watch it at some point. But we also have Jane Theory here. Speaking of She-Hulk, because she's doing awesome She-Hulk reviews with Adheel versus Babyface.
Yes, we're struggling through it.
It's over now, though, right? It's done.
No, we have another episode.
Oh, there's one more. Oh, fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jane, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Happy to be back.
I'm so happy you're here. Tell everyone where they can find you before we get started.
Yeah, you can find me here on YouTube where I post movie and TV reviews and occasionally some pop culture commentary. You can also find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and now Rumble.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
Theory.
Yes. Same here. I got a Rumble too. I'm trying to
moving on
figure it
there.
out.
You gotta
do it.
Here's a lore video for Jane. Before you introduce yourself, say your line.
Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys.
Hey guys.
I still love that video.
That's fantastic.
Hilarious.
And then last but not least, we've got Sporking News Podcast.
I'm gonna have to saw your arms off.
They'll grow back, right?
Oh, yeah.
Whew.
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. I did. You've no idea the physical toll the 3 vasectomies have on a person.
Yeah.
Scott is here. Hi, Scott.
Yep. Try frozen peas work the best. How is everybody?
We're doing good, Scott. How are you?
I'm good. Had a great day. Life is good. I was wondering though, can a dwarf be Sauron? That's my question.
Oh.
That's my question.
Everyone's Sauron.
After this last episode.
He's like Spartacus. I'm Sauron.
Yep. Sauron. But yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. Happy birthday to your daughter.
Yeah, big 5-year-old, my middle daughter. I got a little choked up today because she is like the middle child, like quiet. But man, all eyes on her. It was a great thing to see, the beaming smile. I'm going to get choked up again. Jeez.
That's
awesome.
so sweet. Well, here's the Uber geek to snap you back into where we're at right now, saying for 5, thank you, saying highlight of the episode, Galadriel saying nice things when she forgot last episode she threatened genocide.
Yes, she did. Yep.
The thing is about that, like, the orcs are evil.
Yes.
So killing them is not bad. And it's
Not
like,
at all.
oh, well, you know, if you're doing bad things. Wait, so now the orcs are good. Which, let's face it, compared to the Harfoots and everyone else in the show, they kind of are relatively. So at this point, I'm rooting for Adar.
What have they done wrong, really?
They just want their piece of land. That's all they want. A little pie. That's it.
I was rooting for Sauron from day one. I was like, you know what? I'm team Sauron on this one. I don't even care. Because I want the good story to happen. So I'm rooting for Sauron on this one. But the other thing, too, is that with regards to her being, quote unquote, nice. So this scene happened. And
How was she nice in this episode when she walked past people dying?
Dude.
Oh, yeah, with screaming in the background.
Babies screaming.
There was like literally all these people kind of just like screaming and being crazy. And then she's like, she finds this one kid and she's like, oh, let me take care of you. And she's all like trying to be motherly towards him. But I'm like, I'm not buying this, like you being nice, because you've been a total bitch this entire time. So I
really thought she would slit his neck if the orcs were about to hear him when he was pulling the sword out. Like, I could see her doing that. Like, I'm going to save myself because you have not seen what I have seen. So she's just going to chop off his neck.
And as far as we know, in this scene, his mom that he's looking for is still in the town. Like,
Right.
she went back with the Numenoreans. So
we don't know where she is. And they don't
She
even, they
basically
barely look
kidnaps
for
him.
her. We don't know where she was.
Well, but the thing is, they didn't. I feel like this is intended to be like character development for her.
Yes.
But they don't take any time at all to actually set it up.
Right.
Like, you could have had a moment where she wakes up and she looks around and sees the death and destruction, tries to help people, maybe comes to realize where her intentions are, the consequences of her actions, and where her intentions are headed, how she's partly responsible for this.
Right.
And then maybe I could believe a change in her. But no, she just wakes up, this kid's calling for his mom. She happens to know who he is. And let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's just leave these people to die.
Yeah.
Why didn't they help anyone else?
Because she has business to do. I don't know. It's bad directing, bad writing, bad everything. And she, like, they try to make it seem like she's in shock, but it's like everybody is like trying to save people. Like, everybody's screaming, guy has no legs, and she is just like a Sunday walk straight through everything. And yeah, I think you guys are hitting the point. Like, one kid, she finds the one kid, the mom could be anywhere. dying, and she's just like, no, let's go. We'll walk far. Chances are she's dead anyways. Like, that's what she should have said. Like, she's the lady who, like, or the character, like, that's been bad the whole time, or not even bad, just mean. And they're like, try to smile, and it's like a crooked smile. Like, you just,
bitch face.
yeah, yes, she just can't do it. Even, I don't even know if the actress has it in her.
She, like, the other thing too is I think Chris brings up a great point, which is how did they all survive? Because I kind of was, I mean, when I saw the last episode, and we've talked about this where you guys talked about this on FND, Pompeii, like everyone would be gone. Like everybody would be crisp and charred. Like even the dead bodies, like on the ground here, were quite. Like, it wasn't quite what I was expecting. I was expecting, like, charred corpses and, like, magma going by, or just
the gases.
Off. Like, I don't.
I mean, one horse was on fire. That's about the only damage that it did to everybody. Because everyone else went in burning buildings, and just ran into fire. It doesn't do anything to you, but the fire in this place is just cold to everybody. It's. My only theory I can come up with is it's like Lost, and they just all died and went to purgatory. That's basically the only thing that they can even get away with at this point.
That's perfect.
That's a perfect analogy.
The stupid thing with it going off in the kid, it is literally one of those things. The only reason it happened is because they were like, well, she's got to meet him because he's supposed to be her mirror. He's done something horrible, and so through him and his feelings, she's going to realize, oh, I feel exactly the same because I've done horrible things. And it's like, we had to have these two people meet, so no matter how nonsensical it was, it's going to happen because we needed it to. And it's been the same for all the sort of... Like, we're in the ocean, and we find not one random boat, but two. Why? Because we had to meet those characters.
Yeah.
It's astronomically...
terrible.
Yeah, they can't come up with a good reason to make the plot happen, so it just happens.
No,
and
they
apparently
just...
west of Numenor, which, why? How did that happen?
West of?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they were.
She was on her way to She was on her way to Valinor, right?
Yeah, originally too not Elendil, Isildur say like, oh, I'm gonna go to the west, but then she decided not to go to the west, and decided to like follow them to go and have his adventure or whatever, and then so they didn't actually go to west, right? I don't know.
His storyline is the same problem. It's like, I need to go over here, but why does that exist? Well, the only reason for that thing to exist is they were like, well, he's a sailor. We need to get him fired from being a sailor, so we're just going to make a plot point to get him fired from a sailor. Why? Well, he has to become a cavalry later on, so he has to get fired from being a sailor. It doesn't link together in any way, shape, or form. Events just happen because they need to. It's like
his father's
they wrote
the captain
down...
of everything.
Yeah, it's like they wrote down just a series of bullet points and then tried to write themselves to the next bullet point rather than writing a story.
Yeah, speaking of bullet points, his friend died. So they were like...
Does anybody care about him?
Yeah, no, stop talking about random guy, Chad.
Does anyone know his name?
Steve?
I don't even remember his name. I don't. I'm sorry.
Stevenor? I don't know. Yeah, he...
Stephen Dill.
Yeah, he was the weak one. That's all that matters.
I don't know.
Well, doesn't that make it worse, though? He was the weak one, the coward that didn't want to fight. And so when he dies, you're like, well, nothing of value is lost. So I don't even know why I'm supposed to be unhappy.
Kind of expected it, like, this guy's not going to make it, just like the elf's friend in the first episode. Like, that dude's not going to make it either, and oops, he died,
I think they killed him just to try and prove that, a main character can die. There's some kind of stakes here. It's like, well, he wasn't a main character and no one cared about him. So
well, I think they killed him because they wanted to show that, first of all, they wanted to show that the actor for Isildur has range, even though he didn't really have any range at all. Like, I was just like, okay, whatever. But also, like, they wanted to show, like his friends died and he's sad now, so he's gonna take revenge from Sauron because
they never even established a friendship.
I know.
I don't never believe that they actually cared about each other.
It was almost like they were using each other. Like, it seemed like he thought they were friends with the other two. Like, but the guy behind him right there, I don't know his name either. They seemed like they always hated him, actually. Like in that one scene, they're like,
one guy did. The guy behind him hated him a lot, but the other guy was like,
hey, let's all just be chums.
Yeah, can we just be friends? Like, that was that guy.
Yeah, why don't you go to Middle Earth? Have a good time. Yeah, one of those.
The entire bonding we've had between the three of them was they talked on the beach for a bit, then they got fired, then they punched each other in an alley, then they met on deck for about 20 seconds.
Right.
And then one of them dies?
So emotional.
They're barely in the show. There's so many characters they didn't even need to add that didn't contribute anything for the entire series. Like, well, and they're like, oh, we're setting up. No, you're not setting anything up. None of these people did anything.
No. Pilgrim for $2 says, Horse on Fire was very bad. Not dead elves.
I felt bad for the horse. That's about it.
I felt bad for the horse, too. That was probably the only living being that I felt bad for.
What, the one on fire or the one that Isildur rode that didn't want to get on the ship? That's the only time I felt like a connection. Okay, so the one that like was they were trying to like get him on the ship and he wouldn't get on, that was the only one that actually had some range where he was like, oh my God, I feel that horse's emotion.
He was a great actor.
It was a great actor. Like, look at him not wanting to leave his friend behind either, but his dad decided, I'm not going back and looking for my kid.
This
like,
guy's
where does
showing
he
a
think
little
the
That was
horse
really
is
weird.
going?
Yes, it's weird. You know, that's the thing I don't understand. Like, okay, if this, we're going to, you know, not believe that a volcano would turn them all to ash or turn them into, you know, Pompeians. We'll believe that people literally didn't burn up. Then why the hell would you leave? Like, you haven't seen your son's body.
Right.
Why would you leave the shore? Like, that makes no effing sense to me.
If the horse won't leave, why would you
like,
leave?
I thought that was going to be the moment where he was like, wait a minute, the horse doesn't want to leave his, you know, because he talked about like the connection between a horse and their rider a couple episodes. So I thought that was going to be like, maybe my son's alive moment. And he's like, no, let's just go.
But they're lazy, Scott. They're lazy.
George.
That's the way hey,
George.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, they're trying to build that cliffhanger. Hi, Jane. Disprove, Nina. Yeah, no, they're trying to build a cliffhanger. Come on, this is lazy writing.
It's stupid writing. It makes no sense.
But it's the same way that they throw out the little tidbits of Tolkien lore. You know, that's like their platform that they stand on so they can say, look, we're honoring Tolkien. We're his stewards. Yeah. It's like the name. You had Muriel towards the end where she's like, you know, in the name of our Isildur. And I'm like, okay, why don't you just say Tar Palantir?
Oh my God.
It's like the regular audience doesn't know that. But what they're doing is they're saying, hey, wink, wink, everybody out there. We love Tolkien. See?
No. Yep.
Speaking of her, because that's where we're at, George, is I wanted to say, like, now you guys, we all know how powerful she is. Like,
oh my God, right?
She was the best. Like, she stepped up. She was like, you know what? I'm going to live this fucking house on fire by myself. If nobody helps me, fucking grab that piece of wood right there. Just fucking do it.
Well, she deadlifts like 650. You didn't know that, did you?
The guys couldn't do it, right? He couldn't lift it. Just like, hey, She-Hulk, will you get over here? That's why it's like, I think it's like I mentioned this the other day. It was about She-Hulk, and this episode actually reminded me. It's like it comes across as somewhere between like a Greta Thunberg rant and like an erectile dysfunction ad with Lizzo butt naked playing a flute. I mean,
I just threw up in my mouth. That was disgusting.
My God.
Well, think about it.
You're right, though.
It's not fantasy. It's not sci-fi. And it's not big action and adventure. So what you have left are these big shots. They do some of this cinematography, fantastic. But without a story, without any underlying functioning plot, well, what do you have? You have snippets, like little teasers for the next teaser, for the next teaser.
Can someone please make like memers, the call to memers in the chat, make whatever the hell George just fucking said.
Yeah.
I need a visual.
I don't, but thank you.
Like, they could have had this, like, show sort of, like, the problems of royalty and stuff, because no god on the face of the earth would allow royalty to run into a burning building. They would just go in themselves.
Right.
Like, they could have had her try and go in, and them just holding her back.
Right.
And they have to convince her, and you could still see a struggle that she wanted to do it.
Like no, angry that
she has to survive fire.
Right. Well, that's the part, like, that. Well, first of all, like, she goes blind. We all know this. It's not a spoiler. I was so like, again, this show is so boring. Crying? I was like, when the hell did that happen? Like, I had to somebody had to tell me when that happened. Because I thought she was Superwoman. I'm like, did she do all this pinpointed? Like,
she got sparks in her eyes, Scott.
I guess so. Yeah,
they're Targaryens now.
Oh, here I pinpointed it. There she is getting blind, right there.
So
Isildur in this is Superman. He's holding like a big, massive house beam.
Yeah.
And she goes, ugh, and she gets fired out of a cannon backwards out of the door. I'm like, that guy could lift. That was insane.
And what this crew just said is spot on, because and that refers right back to the bad casting choices. Besides the bad writing, the bad dialogue, and the plot. Think about it. The Numenoreans would have an average height of anywhere between 6'8" and 7'4". I think it was Elendil who was 7'4" and Isildur was 7 foot. Now you could see someone who's 7'4" or 7 foot holding up a beam. It would have more reality to it in a fantasy. You go, yeah, I can kind of see that, or two of them. But the little puny guy, and then you got wooden. See, when she went blind, I was in the same boat, Scott, because she's such a wooden actress.
Right.
I mean, this is a woman who took over for the role in Spartacus for the Stars Channel.
Yep.
And it's like every time I look at her, it's like I get splinters. I mean, she just sits there. I am blind. Do not tell anyone. I see gray. I'm like, cool.
Well, now she doesn't have to do any acting because now she's got a fucking blindfold on.
Oh no, you guys,
it's over now.
She is one of the greatest nostril actresses I've ever seen in my life. Her nostrils tell you the story. When she's upset, they're flared, baby. They are boom. Like she is good at that.
It would have made more sense for her to wake up blind. Than to have this stupid situation happen.
And she had no marks. You'd expect, at least with the fire burning,
a little scorch.
No one is marked.
Come on. Okay. I wanted to ask Jane this. What did you think of that? Well, everybody. It's like I went and watched the video on Pompeii, the old History Channel one, and they go through the whole thing where they're describing within 30 seconds of it blowing up, the first quarter of mile were either ash or they were petrified.
Yes.
Petrified, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so now we have Targaryens. It's like, where are the rest of the dragons?
They're fireproof Numenoreans. Come on.
See, I'm not even sure the Targaryens would survive that because of the ash. They would be like encased in molten rock. So it's not just fire they have to contend with. And it wouldn't have been so, but like they actually showed you how hot and fiery it was by burning everything else except all of the people. So unless this is some kind of knowledgeable volcano that knows the difference of people, then it's crazy. And you know, I was expecting them to do something just stupid. Like the Meteor Man, he was on fire. We've learned, oh well, fire can be cold. But like they're just gonna give some BS excuse right at the start and move on.
I thought they were going.
Just accept it.
Right, but what kills me?
I thought they were going to give her a shot actually to show Galadriel's magic. That was like it.
Stop.
I've been looking for that this entire show, and they have not.
Come on.
So have I, Jane.
She doesn't need magic.
So here's the thing, though. Like, if a volcano would go off, first of all, I think everybody would be dead. But also, I don't even think there would be like burning wreckage. Like, I think it would be just completely like just. I mean, because these are wooden houses.
Right,
fire and wood don't.
Stone in Pompeii, it survived. That's why we excavated. No, this would have gone up like it did.
Well,
there'd be nothing. But guess what? How come their clothes survived?
Well, that's what I'm going to say. Why aren't they cooking in their armor? They're not cooking in their armor. They're walking. Like, I wish she was just like, ooh, that's hot. Ooh, that's hot. Like, no one is, her hair is perfect. Everything is perfect. No one lost. Either you like see someone with like a missing leg. Like, how did that happen from a volcano? But no burn marks.
Before the volcano. He had no leg before the volcano. And then somehow it's correlated now.
It only burned his wooden leg. That's all it did.
I think it's come down to bad D&D. You know, they all like rolled 20s.
Yeah, that's
we got like +3 armor against fire.
Right. I think even D&D would have, like in D&D, if you rolled a 20, you'd be like, well, you dodged behind a wall or found a way underground. They didn't even try and come up with like just a stupid excuse. Like I was
Wait a minute.
even at the people at the back had walls and houses. Like, no, I'm just gonna stand here and tank it.
Wait a minute. I thought for a second that this guy didn't have a leg.
Oh no, he has a leg. But like when they go into it's under ash.
Leg.
But if they go, when you get into the tent, you see people like losing limbs, and it's just like you didn't burn, but something cut you. Like, is it shooting like swords out of the volcano? Razor blades, missiles.
There's that much ash on the ground, but they can all breathe perfectly fine.
Perfectly.
No one even bothers to put like a mask over their face to help them breathe or anything. Like
not even a cough. Give me a little black lung pa.
I remember remember Mount. Does anyone remember Mount St. Helens when it did its little rumble?
Yes.
They like evacuated half the area because like the ash will choke you. Like
I remember the forest fires in Vancouver and the fact that I couldn't breathe. So I can't imagine this. Like, and then you're like, okay, well, how are they even breathing? Let alone like forget the fire.
How far is it, Nina? how far is it from Mount Doom now? Like, because there is no magma. There is no magma.
They're not that far.
They're not that far. So
Well, this
wouldn't
is
there
the
be some
northern part.
lava coming down?
Yeah, this is the northern part.
That's what I figured. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna go to the very last scene because
north
that's
part,
where they
sorry.
kind of show that's where they show where the where Mount Doom is. So this is it. This is the last scene. And then it changes to like Mount Doom from the Southlands.
Oh God, the little 3D in it, the little.
Yeah. So this is where the volcano is.
Right.
And this is where their town is.
Was, yeah.
Technically, or was.
Wait a minute,
Technically.
is this the north part, Nina, or the Southland?
This is the Southland.
Okay.
That is
It's
now
Mordor.
considered
Right.
Mordor.
Didn't you think that was cheesy? Did anyone think it was cheesy that
I
they
did.
did that
I was like,
Mordor?
what?
Oh, the text change. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, come on. I mean, what is this? A video game? I mean,
Well, don't
It
forget,
was
but
like
they
something like Morrowind. Yeah.
yeah, but they also have to spell it out for us. They have
Right.
to. Like
They
we all know.
literally
Yeah,
have
they
to.
literally like we know what this is. You know. Oh yeah. Oh my God, I didn't realize it's Mordor. Okay.
you know,
I'm
do that
surprised
all
they
the
didn't say
time.
more like Mordor origin story or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, like,
I was like, oh,
Mor-
okay.
you are in Mordor. You know, like,
they could have put Amazon's tag on there. I mean, they're putting the name of the show on everything. A friend of mine this week had ordered 2 things from Amazon. Both came in like the Rings of Power boxes.
yes, same
Yeah.
here.
And I see the vans going by, you know, and you see them, and now they have Rings of Power. It's like one with Elrond, and the ears look like bat wings, like tail lights. I'm like, what the hell? It's like any show that has to pump that amount of money while it's airing. I don't give a shit what they say. Nielsen, I used to respect them. I really don't understand what they're doing with their rating system, because when you look at Google
I don't
Trends,
think they do.
when you look at Torrent Free, pirates don't even steal the show. I mean,
This is the scene, by the way, you guys, at the end where they switch the Southlands to Mordor. So
Mordor.
Yeah,
Mordor.
it's literally just 2D text which they put on in the editor. Like I can do that. And I'm crap at text. And
Same
stuff.
here. I was just about to say the same thing.
They didn't
I was
even
like,
try and put any effort in.
no, put a little
Let's
top.
in the background.
Right.
750 million, and you got a nice 2D text. Hey, come
Yeah.
on.
Okay, so I don't know. I guess there's no magma because the volcano is like way too far away.
No, okay, and I understand that. Maybe it's going uphill. I don't know. But then why is everything burning? And why is there, why are no, like that shot, if it's way the hell over there, like
Yeah.
they are burning really bad. Like Hawaii has, you know, volcanoes that go off. And like, that's not the biggest islands in the world. And yet, they still have green grass. So you have to make a decision. Show me like massive destruction on a total like, apocalyptic level, or show, a little bit less. I don't know, that they can actually survive in, which they couldn't. What they were in, they could not survive, but yet they all did.
And their armor, the spandex.
Yeah.
But we saw the lava coming out last episode, though. That's
What I thought too.
Come on. Anybody who's going to devise like that Rube Goldberg game where you have to turn the key in order to hit the dam in order for it to spew. It's like when I looked at the picture of the dam, I'm like, all the orcs had to do was go at night and just start chiseling at it. It would have just, the water would have flowed.
What is this, Jane? Jane?
That's a map. Thank you, everybody. I'll be here all night.
I think maybe.
Did she freeze?
Did she freeze? Was that?
She said she was having internet issues. Don't worry.
And you notice they stopped showing the maps every few minutes, how they were doing in the first episodes.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense.
There she is.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
So what is this that you're showing us? I mean, I see Mount Doom there.
Yeah, there's Mount Doom, and the far left arrow is where the tower was.
Okay.
And the other two are where the 2 little towns are that we were.
So wait a minute, they got water from the river because there was a waterfall. Like, how did that work? Like,
I don't know. This is their weird map from the show.
And what I'm getting is all the tunnels weren't just to move through the day. It was so they can make
it was
water
the
go to
water.
Mount Doom.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Oh, there's the river. Well, there's the river on the other side. So I guess that's the
I'm
From
good
their
with
underground
that.
tunnels.
So let's not forget the tunnels went under like the town too. So that water, once it like hit the lava or hit the mountain and hit the lava, would be shooting back so hot through those tunnels. And yet, like, they didn't die of that either. Like, you know, people weren't singed and boiled to death in those houses. Like, because the tunnels were under the houses and stuff. So, like, they just were like, let's make this look cool. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about how, like, the technical part. Nerds don't care about that. Like, well,
I think that's all
I don't think they even thought about that, and I don't think they expect you to think about that either.
Right? They don't know their customer.
Well, there's so many things like that whole horse scene with Elendil at the end. Right. Everybody knows that he's got a connection to a seal door, and so that's why he went off. But I don't think Elendil knows that. I don't think he's worked that out. And so, if it's so obvious to the audience because they think you're thick, but they're trying to set something up in a very blunt manner,
right?
It makes the characters seem as if they are thick because they are as stupid as they think they are.
Well, wait a minute. Desperate, didn't Elendil tell him?
I was just about to say that.
Yeah,
he's the one that told us the connection, you know?
This is the thing. It spells everything out for you. It's so obvious you cannot physically miss it, but they still expect you to miss it, which is why they spell it out, because they're pitching something at a level they think their audience is.
So they think everybody's 5 years old, basically.
Quick point.
It's like that's why they don't care about the volcanoes, because they think, well, they're not even going to think about that anyway. They're just going to see some cool fog, and that's it.
You showed us the map, right?
Yeah.
We know that the Harfoots are not in Mordor.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
wherever they are in the north,
unfortunately,
they have encountered land that has been destroyed by the volcano.
Wait a minute, they're in the north?
Yes.
Oh, because I assumed it was fallout from Mount Doom, but they're far north, you're saying?
No, they actually mention the explosion at Mount Doom at the end.
They do.
They're north of Mordor, I believe. That's where they're north.
Just north, because they can't, come on. Like
that's what this is from. This is from like the expulsion.
Okay, that's what I thought.
This is the problem. The cities, everyone we've seen in the Southlands is closer to the volcano than the hobbits are.
Yeah.
So why is not every single person in the Southlands dead?
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm wondering. I'm like, why isn't anybody dead? Like, well, I mean, everybody should be dead.
What
like
James just said is one of the biggest problems of the show is if people really understood how big Middle Earth was and how big art of the entire world was, this shrinks it down. It's kind of like what Disney's done in some of their Star Wars shows where it feels like a small universe. They've done the same thing here. It's like, oh, they're right over there in the Southlands. Oh, well, they're right over there near the Anduin or in Umbar. It's like tiny.
Well, George, like, you know, and to answer what like Desperate was saying first, it's not even that they don't think we're going to think about it. They just don't know their customer. They don't care. Like,
well, I don't think they know actually. See,
well, they don't know any of it. They don't care.
I'm sure they've thought about it.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm agree with you, Disper. I don't think they think about this kind of stuff at all. Like, they're just like, well, whatever. We're just gonna do this, and they're gonna either like it or they're racists. Like,
but see, it's like I think they underestimated it.
You know how Marvel, they say they come up with the fights first before the movie even happens? That's what this moment feels like to me. Like, we're going to have a Mount Doom and it's going to explode. And I think that was as far as they got. The story had to be written for it to happen.
Well, remember what their pitch was when they shared that, and I think they shared it again in the Hollywood Reporter, but 6 months ago, they actually said it specifically. Their pitch, which I'm still surprised beat out the Russo brothers because they were in the running for it. Their pitch to the estate and to Amazon was, okay, you remember that 12-minute opening of Peter Jackson's? We want to explore that. That was their pitch. And Simon Tolkien, because he's got a chip on both shoulders because he's living in the shadow of his grandfather and could never do anything on his own outside be a barrister and write some stupid murder mysteries, he has an opportunity now to go in there and say, hey, this is my Middle Earth. This is he put his stamp on it because there's no other explanation. I think these guys watch the movies and I think they actually read the books, but they don't understand them. They don't understand the Legendarium. They're treating it the same way they said, we helped write Star Trek Into Darkness. They worked on JJ's films. And that's what they did. They took lens flare, JJ Abrams, kind of like modus operandi and just applied it to Tolkien.
What is this one, Jane?
This is where the Harfoot started.
Right,
they're headed southwest.
Okay.
So toward the marshes, toward the water on the
towards the dead marshes.
So they are north.
That's far north
of the mountain. They are nowhere near the volcano.
Can I ask a question, Gene?
Yeah.
Where's the sea compared to Mordor? Like, because how fast that the Numenoreans got to the village?
Yeah.
It really kind of threw me off because they were like, it's a day when they were on the ship. They said it's a day to to the shore and then a day ride. And they were there like late afternoon. You know, like
Scott, remember they traveled 1,800 miles by boat in a day and a half to 2.
I figured out that there's no time in Middle Earth. So they just
there's a quote from the director of 2 episodes ago. The bit that you saw of the Harfoots traveling when they did the whole map journey. He said it was about 2 weeks, possibly. So that was as accurate as he planned it out.
Wow, that's wow.
Well, at least he said possibly.
Well, at least it makes sense then how you could go by those little ships. 1,800 miles, you know.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could tell time passed. They were going, but how were we supposed to know 2 weeks, 2 months, a season? I mean, because they were traveling through so many different types of environments.
But you can go by what looks normal. I mean, these are mountain ranges. You can't. We know what a mountain looks like. You can use just common sense to scale it. And I know it's not necessarily to scale, but you get a good approximation. And the times that they're giving us just don't make logical sense.
Yep. No. I think that's done deliberately, though. I think everything's kept deliberately vague because they're squashing like thousands of years into something.
Yeah.
So they want to make the world also kind of this vague miasma of stuff so that you specifically can't pin them down and like call out the various issues. It's...
So do you think they...
I don't even think they thought about it themselves. Like, about 2 weeks, possibly. Does that sound like a guy who actually even knew how long he was filming? No. It doesn't really...
But is it like one of those things where they're like, just look at the pretty background and just shut up? Like, we don't want you to think. And it's like
she's singing. Isn't that enough?
But the thing that gets me the most, it's like, you bought this, Amazon. You bought a property that's not like Star Wars, not like Marvel, not like... A Song of Ice and Fire, which I love what it is. Yeah. People actually teach courses in college about Tolkien. Like, this is something that people are there's people that are snooty about their Tolkien. Like, they know it to the T and the dotting of the I's, and you're going to take it and not put in any effort.
We have a couple of those people
stuff
on this panel, Scott. Disparu and George the Giant Slayer right here.
Yes.
I'm no expert on it. I know far more about the show than the book.
Yeah, but you know a lot about Tolkien's works, and you've actually put some effort in, and it makes sense to me that that Amazon would be basically spending this much money on nothing. Like, like I don't know who their experts are or whatever, but they've let them astray. And honestly, this was another scene that I was like, oh, okay, they're just doing this to be like, oh, look, Gandalf or whoever the fuck this guy is.
Gandalf,
not Gandalf, but whoever this guy is, like, he can do magic, like, like, oh, look at this, like, he's gonna make this tree come to life, and it's just like, oh, okay, like,
not just tree, the entire land, apparently.
The entire land.
It wasn't, though. It was about 5 trees. This was one explosion of the volcano that burned 5 trees. And on the right of the screen is a perfectly healthy forest, which hasn't been touched at all. So I don't even know why there's so much crying about these 5 trees over here.
And you know what?
That's the thing, is they're acting like they would starve but for him doing this. And it's like, but you walk 5 feet and it's...
There you go. It's like, there's the grocery stores over there.
But the crazy part too is, like, when he brought it back to life, it was overflowing with apples, and I'm like, that's not how apple trees work. Like,
well, it's magic.
Magic. At least that made sense for the magic, but everything else, like, hey, over there.
Because it was magic. Okay, so it's magic.
That's why I thought they were going to have Galadriel use magic. I really thought that's the only way they're going to explain it. She's going to finally show her magic and save everybody, like, behind her. I'm like,
that would have been
smart. They consider it a feminine trait or a feminine skill. Well, you're not going to allow that.
But when a man uses it, they make it look like it's dangerous, and they blame him. But every time he uses magic, the Harfoot does something stupid. Like, the girl grabs his arm when it's freezing. Like, why would you grab his arm when it's freezing? And then the stupid kid's like, oh, let me walk up to the man the tree is shaking. His voice is shaking like the earth. I'm just going to walk under this half-dead tree. It's not his fault the branch fell down and almost killed them. Like, but they look at him like he's the bad guy. It's like, dude, he is using powerful magic and you blame him for your stupidity.
Personally, the Harfoots, come on. They're like a Charles Manson troupe of murdering little midgets. I mean, think about it. They hate. It's like they keep talking. Their words are so opposite. There's like, no one walks alone.
Yeah,
no one is left behind unless you piss us off.
Yeah, unless you
fall behind. And then they sing those stupid songs. Tonight we remember Ballless. He rolled down the hill and we didn't go after him. It's like, what loving.
Oh my God.
It's like the Trail of Tears.
I was dying at that part where he's like, no, but we don't leave anyone behind. And then I'm like, except everyone you've left behind. Because like there's so many, like that was the whole entire episode last time where they were like singing about how many people they left behind.
I mean, the guys that they're writing about, it would actually make sense that Tolkien stated, we don't know anything about their wandering ears. That's it. Because who would want to know about these murdering midgets?
Oh my God, they're terrible. It's like one of those, it's only like you stub your toe and they're like, oh, it's like, it's only a flesh wound. I'm okay. It's like, no, you're dead.
Also,
all right?
Can we acknowledge that the leader of the Harfoots once again was like, it would be really nice if you weren't right all the time, miss.
Yeah.
The one person that wanted to take people, like a family with kids, take their wheels away and make them die. And he's like, you're always right. I can't disagree with you. And then just before that, they had a speech of a guy who goes, well, we can't mine or we can't fight. But what we can do is stand by each other better than any other creature on Middle Earth. Are we watching the same show? Has whoever wrote that bit actually seen any of the other episodes at all? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
It's consistent. It's consistent with what the showrunners are doing. They're gaslighting us every step of the way, so their characters are doing the same thing.
I really think that these showrunners, Jane, thought that society was in a worse position. Like we were literally all 5-year-olds. How Disbrew was talking a second ago. But I think they thought that the fellowship around the world was much smaller in scale and scope. And they're like, no, they're not going to mind. They look, Star Wars did it. Disney's done it. Marvel's doing it. And then they woke up and like, holy shit, they're killing our show. No, you killed the show. And the other thing I found out about, these guys, I didn't realize it. It doesn't matter what someone's religion is, but they're Mormons. And they were discussing an interview a few years ago, how they wanted to create a series or film. And this was way before Rings of Power. And that they wanted to interweave their religion into it. And so there was an article on Rotten Tomatoes that was saying how their Mormonism actually is very similar to Tolkien's mythology. And I was like, what? The guy was Catholic pre-Vatican II.
Yeah, completely.
Nothing to do with each other. And I started looking into it, and I'm really believing that a lot of these changes have actually to do with their Mormonism.
But what part?
I'm slowly putting it together. I'm just because I want to confirm everything first. But it's just something
they haven't allowed for any aspect of faith or like.
Well, there's the shifts that they're wearing, for example. I found out that's directly from them in the first 2 episodes. All the elves wearing those like nightgowns. Mm-hmm. That was one of them. I'm just saying there's a lot of little things.
Galadriel has multiple husbands.
No.
Halbrand's maternity wear. Well, that's what gets me every time.
Well, it's odd. I just think that these guys really, in some aspect, I really do believe that they underestimated everyone. They're like, we're just going to push this. We're going to pump a hell of a lot of money into it, and that's going to be it.
Well, they picked the wrong fandom.
Oh yeah.
They had done it with Wheel of Time before. Like that came out, and that's a massive fantasy IP. But as far as it came to actually the TV series, and especially YouTube in particular, never saw it anywhere. There was a few YouTubers that had decent followings that covered it, and that was it.
Well, you covered it. You covered it, right?
Yeah, but I was small at the time. The biggest people that actually covered it and were negative about it was Night's Watch with Shad. Apart from that, all the bigger channels were pro it. There was loads of people who were like crying and in tears.
Oh,
this
really?
is amazing, the best.
Lady Gravemaster hated it.
Oh my God!
I found out that it was shit.
It was shit. It was shit. And
I didn't know anything about that. Like,
but I think
series. Like, I didn't know about the books.
I've never read it. Yeah, I've never read it.
I think they thought they could do the same thing because a lot of the bigger channels that did it, they did things like the official after shows and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And you can do that if there's a limited number of channels that you need to cover. But Lord of the Rings is so massive.
Yeah.
They tried
there's
though.
No way you get everyone on.
They did try.
But that's the thing. Like, it's like, okay, we didn't quite know that other IP, but I sure as hell know Lord of the Rings. Like, I'm like, there's no fucking way we're gonna sit by and let them like just, destroy Tolkien in this way. Corey Castle for $20. Thank you so much for your generosity. It says, judging the show, interestingly, does anyone agree that Adar is the only character with laudable explained goals for the benefit of his people? I'm Team Adar, and they should just drop the Tolkienian farce. Go Adar and kids show.
Which one's Adar again?
The leader of the orcs.
Leader of the orcs.
Yeah, dude. At least he shows like he actually compassion. You see, he's a complex character where like the episode where he's like, this might be the last time he looks at the sunlight. Like there was some powerful moments with him, and he's also Uncle Benjen, so that's pretty cool.
He was nicer to the orcs than Galadriel was to her
right.
To anyone.
To any human being,
well, anyone, but to her, like, the people that were like following her, and then she's like, you guys can just leave then. Go
You mean the ones that she said like mutinied on her because she's been dragging them around for centuries?
Yeah, the ones that she didn't care if they froze and died.
Yeah.
And they were like, they're gonna freeze and die. She's like, all right, I'll care.
And the king told them to come back, and she still wasn't doing it, but they mutinied.
But that's precisely why I think, as someone was saying in the chat, it seemed very atheistic or even anti-Christian, the angle that they're taking, because everything is flipped in terms of morality. Every character that's supposed to be good is suddenly now incredibly evil, and all of the characters that we know should be evil, in fact, are in fact evil. Like the representation of evil, the biblical representation of evil in a fantasy show, in a fantasy story, are now good.
Right.
Well, and it's interesting because of Tolkien's, he was a Catholic, and he put all of that stuff into his work. So it's really kind of like weird. It's like it's almost as if these Satanists took this work, and they're like, well, we've got our vision too.
We're going to give Satan a better backstory.
Oh, God.
Absolutely.
Well, remember, they started laying the groundwork when they announced 5 months ago that they were saying there's a possibility that you could have some characters, and I took it as a reference to Sauron, and then because they were mentioning the orcs, that there's what we call evil that is just misunderstood. And you saw Adar in the last episode when she had him as a prisoner. We're like, don't they have hearts? I mean, it was kind of like Shakespeare. Cut me, do I not believe? Prick me, do I not tear? And so you're going to see that, especially you saw that you had that female orc, and I think they're going to build upon that. I think they're going to try to do the same thing to Sauron.
Tolkien is good versus evil. It is not, again, A Song of Ice and Fire plays in the grays. This is white hats and black hats, good versus bad. Biblical. Jane put it perfectly. I mean, I can never say it. The Bible, his Bible, the Silmarillion or whatever. Yeah, it's his Bible. It is good versus evil. There is not like, there are people that fall to the evil like Satan. It is not supposed to be like, we should be worried about the orcs' rights, orcs' rights matter.
Well,
it's just
be.
stupid.
Well, that's the part of the Silmarillion is the fact that they turn their back on the Eldar, the Valar and Eru, because of their jealousy for the immortality. Because Tolkien's two primary themes, first is immortality and death, which is why he calls death a gift from Eru for man. And man's like, it's not a gift. Well, because it's like, there's a surprise for you that we don't discuss in the books, because they don't know where that goes. Even the elves don't know what happens to man after death. But the elves, for example, they reincarnate. They go to the halls of Mandos, spend a little time there. Each one is different. Then they reappear in Valinor in the Blessed Realm and come back, which is why when this whole thing started with having Galadriel, or I like to call her Galad Diarrhea, when you had her, when her brother died and she did this whole vengeance thing, it's like, what fucking vengeance? You can feel sad you don't see him right now, but bitch, he's coming right back because he's an elf.
He's at home.
I thought they were going for that sort of Game of Thrones grey morality area, despite it being against Tolkien. But they did an interview very recently, and they're like, "No, this is walking into the light. This is for the good. This is meant to be good and evil." Like you genuinely have no idea what good is. You have no moral compass. You cannot distinguish between the two. But they think these characters are good. They think the Harfoots are good people. They have no idea how evil they are, and that freaks me out. The fact that no one can actually grasp what you've written there. But that's kind of the world we're living in.
But it's Hollywood. It's Hollywood.
You just nailed it. You just nailed it. They don't. I guarantee you, they don't understand. They probably think that that's okay.
bubble.
Think of the bubble they live in. These are the people who are saying, like, don't use the word, broomer, because that's wrong.
Yeah, but it's also like it's very reflective of the times in that sense too, because these are the same types of people, especially the people who are like living in Hollywood and doing all this stuff. Is like they were some of the most extreme when it came to like the COVIDian rules and like all that kind of stuff. Like so if you don't take the jab, you're terrible and you should die and like blah blah blah, and that if you do, you're great and blah blah blah, and you're virtuous, and they live that kind of life on a daily basis, and they projected that like what they think is their virtue onto this show. Like you can clearly see that they do not actually have a moral compass, like you guys were saying. It's like they don't know right and wrong.
And take that from their first, Nina, take that, because you're spot on. Take that from their very first interview in February in the Vanity Fair, where they said, we know they're not supposed to be hobbits there, but we're going to do them because can you have Lord of the Rings without them? But their words were, these loving, cuddling, you're hobbits. And it's like, wait a minute. These are like little Charles Mansons. What are you talking about? Where are the guys from the Shire?
And just to like, shameless plug over here. I actually just released a video about this very thing, and I said this is why the left is the video titles is why the left is killing hero culture, and this is exactly why this show is the reason that kind of stuff exists, is because it's literally this is the blueprint of what they're trying to do, is to blur the lines between good and evil, blur the lines between right and wrong, so that they can better control you. And if you're interested in that, watch that video, because that's basically what I think.
And you know what? And it's not a coincidence, Nina. Like this is like, and anybody who thinks conspiracy that Hollywood is pumping this out. They do not want men to be masculine. They want women to be masculine. They do not want you to question their morals. Your morals are wrong. Our morals are right. We are this, you are that, and you are going to listen to what we have to say. And if you're against us, then we're going to say that you are as bad as somebody who killed 12 million people, half of them Jewish. That's what they decide, that you are that bad if you disagree about their choices of of a man's work that was Christian based. It's terrible. Like, create your own. But that's the problem. They have we see what they do with a master's work. They can't even do it.
I'm beginning to feel they don't want to create their own. They want to corrupt, deconstruct our own.
They do.
So that they can that contributes to their deconstruction of society as a whole, because they know it is influential.
It's been for years.
Next generation.
It's quintessential to destroy the hero and the culture in order to do what they're doing. It's like it's
rewrite the
like
past,
a step-by-step process. Rewrite the past, exactly. Britt Cormier here for $50. Thank you so much for your generosity. Saying, I told this to Az earlier. True Detective season 1 was also 8 episodes. Great freaking show. Side note, I haven't read the rest. In the 8 episodes, we had a full story with fleshed out and well-defined characters like Rust were so well done. I missed him when the season was over. I fully agree with this, because True Detective season 1 is one of the best detective stories I've ever seen, I think. Have you guys ever seen it? Disprove, have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Are you into like mystery, crime stuff?
I've seen them, but for me, it can't just be crime. They normally have to have some kind of twist as a hook. Like, there was a show, I can't remember what it was called, but it was this guy who every time he died reincarnated in like a lake next to it.
Oh,
the one with Keanu Reeves?
No, it was the guy who used to. Yeah, it was the guy who was in Fantastic Four, the British actor.
It was.
It's called Forever. I think it's called Forever.
Yeah, it was kind of just like a typical Sherlock Holmes episodic show, but that twist gave it enough of a kind of thing to keep me interested, and enough of a kind of angle for it. It was the same with
Luther with Idris Elba. Or is it not enough twist?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's not. I've not seen Luther.
Incredible.
I was thinking more of what was the other one? That was one about how Satan comes and starts he leaves hell and starts solving crimes.
Lucifer?
It ended up on Netflix.
Lucifer.
Yeah,
it's called
Lucifer. That was another one. That was basically a crime show where they had another twist with it. So.
The guy was brilliant as Lucifer too.
Well, this show though, like the True Detective is like just like Britt is saying, it's literally 8 episodes and you get all of it. It's one limited series and you get the beginning to the end. And it's amazing. I highly recommend it. If
you always say that. I've been meaning to watch it. Now
how a good story is told in 8 fucking episodes. Watch The True Detective.
You know, Bush brought up what I think is one of the greatest series of all time. It has, I think, the best writing. It's Deadwood. You ever seen Deadwood?
That's on my list.
So good. So good.
It is the most well-written show, I think,
so
in
good.
history. Nothing has ever topped it, and we'll never see something like that again.
Yeah.
And the actors, each one of them had an arc. The words, I mean, they flowed. In one essence, it almost sounded Western, but also it had kind of like an iambic pentameter like Shakespeare, but it didn't. I mean, just everything was like liquid music when they spoke, even though... And the West felt real. Everyone was filthy and dirty and scummy.
I mean, one of my favorite shows, because the thing is, the BBC used to be great. It used to come out with some great shows, and it just went downhill. But Spooks is about a load of spies, and I love that. Now, that is a show which has very... People think that Game of Thrones was the first one that would kill off characters. No, you had no idea from it. Even the actors didn't know whether they were going to survive the next episode. Yeah, they used to get the script, flick to the last page just to see if they would survive that week.
I didn't know that.
It's called Spooks. Spooks.
Yeah, Spooks.
Yeah, it's MI5 in the States, Scott. It's called MI5.
MI5?
Yeah, I think it's 10 seasons. I watched it all it was brilliant. I was like, and then they made a stupid movie. It wasn't as good with
that was awful.
Jon Snow, whatever his name is. I was
I saw that. That was terrible.
Yeah, it's
I've never
nothing
even
like the
heard
series.
of this. That sounds good.
No, it's awesome.
And that it changes when you know that characters can die. The
Yes,
moment someone
changes
points a gun at them, entirely changes the scene.
Yep, and
Whereas
that's
what we're supposed to think with Rings of Power. You can survive a volcano. I'm never going to care if any one of the characters are in danger again. You've blown it now.
God, now
look at
about Spooks. I can't believe you brought that up. That girl, when she died, I'm like, the head of MI5 finally falls in love. I'm like,
okay, time out. We're gonna all watch it. Stop spoiling.
Yeah, don't spoil anything. Hey, Jane.
Spoiling.
Jane.
Yeah.
I noticed this line. Like I was like, I was bad about this line.
Anytime they take over an IP, they have to insert something similar to this in there.
Yep.
Let the past die. So
Every single IP has it. It's like they again. This should show you the link. Like they all use this, maybe not the same exact words, but they're telling us we're gonna destroy your past, but don't worry about it because you're clinging to it. This is the future, and this is the future we want you to be in, where it's our future. It's really quite scary what they're doing, but you know, we tried to fight it what we can on the platforms we can. That's why I decided to go to Rumble too, not just because I got demonetized here, but because like you're allowed to speak more about things like this that I think we really should have a right to fight against, because if we don't speak out, who will?
It's coming to an end, though. You understand? A lot of these
That's
shows
what we've been
also...
saying.
No, I still think, because remember, it's something I've learned from Script Doctor and speaking to Andre and Tom over on Midnight's Edge, is the fact when you look at how the process works from the time they greenlight a project to the time it's done and we see it, you're talking anywhere from 2 to 3 years. So we have a lot of content that's been in the pipeline from the time of the beer bug. So we're getting all this when they thought we would still be locked in and couldn't do anything, so they could reprogram everyone.
Yeah, true.
They have to get past
Great
that.
reset.
Because they can't keep losing money. I mean, there's already been twice the Disney shareholders have tried to step up. They just didn't have a quorum yet to do the suit. But once they do that, come on, they're going to be like, you cannot keep losing money. Your responsibility is to make us fucking money, which means you make the customer happy.
I think the problem with that, though, is that we're running into a two-pronged problem.
Okay.
One is that these people who've gone through this modern university system are taking on positions and rising through the ranks quickly. So that's part of the problem, is they're becoming a part of the executive. The other problem is that they're not just attacking or pushing this agenda in entertainment. They're also doing it in aspects of society like education, not just college education, but with small children, elementary, pre-K. So they're starting early. They're trying to build the audience.
Yes.
And they're hoping that there's enough time where they can actually accomplish it. So there's a race
It is,
between
but-
us and them
Yes.
to destroy what they're trying to do before they destroy any possibility of this reversing.
I agree with you 100%, but I actually think that the higher up these guys in the executives go, well, you know, the SJWs, the radicals, people who believe in just bumper stickers and they breathe. I think the higher that they go and the more authority they have to create this kind of content, the quicker their decline will be. Because the generation, the group that they're trying to fill in, do not do anything but virtue signal. If they had actually, if they would spend money, if #heroes actually spent money on the content, they would already have it. Think of the TikTokers and Twitter.
Well, George, what you got to remember too, and another thing the great script doctor has told us is that, you know, the kids that were taught this in college, this type of morality, this type of view on the world, they went into Hollywood and they worked their way up, and now they're the gatekeepers. Right. And if we don't stop that pipeline from where they're learning it, it will keep being those gatekeepers. And they look how much money they've lost since 2016. You know, since the first Ghostbusters, all female Ghostbusters, like they don't care. It's not about the money with these people. Right. And if anybody believes that, you're blinded. You're blinded. It's about changing the fabric of our morals in our society. And I know people, oh, you're getting too deep with that. Just look at what they've been doing.
You're right. Except what you have to also notice is what's going on in the background. For example, Louisiana is passing, I think it passed or it's about to pass next week, that they're removing BlackRock from all of their pensions from the entire state. 6 other states are doing that. When you remove the funding source, it doesn't matter how much of a message they want. No one's buying a ticket. No one's paying a subscription. No one's watching it. No advertisers, no money. It's not going anywhere. Meaning, like, Jane is right that we're in a race. I just think we're a little bit better off than they are. Think about it again. Rings of Power. They've dedicated $1 billion. They've spent about $750 million for the first season, including buying the rights. How much money have they been spending monthly on YouTube commercials? Because it's on every single
lot.
Right.
Well,
think about that.
No.
Oh, I see it all.
I don't know because I don't know because isn't
I'm just talking YouTube. I'm not talking. What?
Aren't Google and Amazon kind of like in cahoots? So don't they like that? Like,
I think they'd still be paying them, and they're all their
costs because they're competing against other people. The inventory would go to someone who's paying more. So
that's true.
Don't likely to give them a favor.
And think about it: their cross promotion, all of that costs money. All the articles that they pull, with all of the partnerships that they have, with all the media, but everything is money, a favor, a wink. That's time, that's energy, that's resources. And every time that people keep bringing it up, whether it's Disper, whether it's you, whether it's this channel, whether we're streaming, that keeps chopping away. If the show was actually successful, as they say, do you think they'd be writing articles about people like they go, the fans are attacking? They'd be like, we don't give a shit who's attacking us. We're number one.
Yeah.
Right.
And they would be releasing weekly. They'd be releasing weekly their numbers, not just look at our premiere.
I think they're scared, man. I don't know, but I think they're scared about how bad they're actually doing. Yep. Now here's so back to the show here. Some fake basically adversity is being inserted here. The king of the dwarves doesn't want them to dig for mithril. He gives no fucks if it's curing the elves or whatever. He's like, you know what? I don't give a fuck about your pointy ears, pieces of shit. Knife ears. Knife ears. So he really doesn't give a fuck. Now, Disparu, what are your thoughts on this whole
for a start, like, even his pitch is ridiculous. We're taking something sacred from you, so here's some meat, some grain, and some wood was essentially his offer. There's nothing sacred about that they're offering him, so I don't even know what he meant. But I think there's like a subplot going on, because later on he talks to Durin and he's like, no, we're not going to do that because we're like risking the shadow. The entire mountain might be brought down on us. And then you've got Deezer turning into a Sith Lord.
Yeah. I know.
Sauron.
It's like the Balrog is influencing people in the mountain, and I don't know whether he realizes it and he doesn't want to push it, and she's just gone full Sith on everybody. She's like controlled by the Balrog or something.
I'm starting to take back everything I said about Disa after this fucking episode, because I was like, what the hell's going on with Disa?
Yeah, I mean, if the Balrog isn't in control of it and she's just doing this voluntarily, then she's just full evil at this point.
But it's almost like they just decided. You remember that part in Lord of the Rings when they go under the mountain and everybody's dead? Remember?
Yeah.
This is kind of how it happens.
Yeah.
Like that's the only twist they got. And she is just look. The twist with her was what out of left field. Like, oh my God, she's married him for his money, I guess. And now wants to have a coup. You know, and I really think, you know, they're trying to play that idea that the dwarves delved too far. And this is the beginning of that delving too far. But I'm kind of shocked they're going to make it a woman is the cause of that, because
they don't see it that way. It's just like how Galadriel has been the cause of Sauron coming back.
Right.
But they don't understand the connection.
Right.
They are making all the female characters incredibly evil. And all of the men incredibly weak, and that's their perfect world.
Right. But think about it again, how it's a dichotomy from Tolkien, right? Tolkien stated that the dwarves dug too deep, too greedily. Scott was just mentioning that. Here, it's about saving them. So it wasn't out of greed. If you think about it, Durin would want to go in and dig as much as he can get out so he can save his best friend, brother Elrond, and all his people. So they're even, once again, going against Tolkien.
Flipping
I mean, yeah, you can just see it. And besides the fact that mithril is now a medical cure-all, you know, for like toe fungus, jock itch, and elven immortality.
I could use it. What?
Mithril digger. This is hilarious.
It is. I was just saying that too. It's like a drug.
Come on.
It is like a drug. Oh my God.
But Deezer wasn't even on about just the mithril, though. Like,
no.
All the mithril be ours. But we will rule like every mountain. We will rule the entire dwarven kingdom. She just really went for it.
Yeah.
I don't even understand.
To the emperor. I was like, what the fuck?
Where's the cackle? Like, you know, that's all you needed from her.
When you saw that lightning go down into the ground, I expected it to be in rock in veins that they'd have to mine, and then they just knock a hole in, and the entire mountain is split open.
Yes.
How is the mountain even standing up at that point? But are you even mining it? And like, why isn't the Balrog just like climbing the walls to get out or something? I'm just completely confused what's going on.
I was gonna say that too. It's like, wait a minute, that's a really big hole. Like, that's you're not my
that must go up to the top.
Right, it's how the Balrog got in. Right, it's the Balrog's like, bitches, this is my home. What are you doing?
But the stupid thing is, it's like you're not, like you just said, they're not. You don't have to mind that. You just have to kind of reach in. You just have to reach.
The Balrog did nothing wrong. He's just defending his home from invaders.
Can we also like acknowledge the fact that literally all the men cried in this episode?
Oh my God!
What the fuck is going on?
To be fair
like
to Elendil, who's my favorite character, he does have to put up with Galadriel and just leave her in the sea. So I'd cry if I had to. It's like, so we're gonna come back and meet her again. I'd be in tears, to be honest.
But this again shows you, you know, he is giving up, and it takes a strong woman to tell him, no, you're not giving up. We're going to take over the world. And that's pretty much what this scene is. It's like he is weak. She is strong, maybe too strong and a little evil. But like, again, we're showing like he was ready to give up on his best friend, his best buddy for life.
I'm not sure he's given up, though. I mean, how are they going to clean up a volcano? A volcano's gone off that destroys... Even if you wipe the orcs off the face of the earth, the volcano's still there. The entire land is destroyed. I'm kind of like with him. What's the point of this?
Oh no, I was talking about the dwarves. I was talking about that part. You're absolutely right on what you just said, though.
But the elves, they can just go home.
Yeah,
like, everyone's acting as if they're about to die. No,
just
go back.
And here you have
it's
it.
Because of this
mithril
leaf. They see this leaf get cured, and then they're like, "Oh my God, we have to help them because that's." Oh my God, like...
But Nina, did it take anything away from the mithril? It's almost like they can use it and give it back. Because it didn't lose like its shine. It didn't lose the light inside. I was hoping I would see it like actually like dim, but it didn't do any of that. Like it cures everything. You can wear it like a necklace and just chill the rest of your life.
Just pass it around. So they could just pass the shit around.
Like a joint.
Yeah.
They've got elevators. They could just literally turn that entire mithril thing into an elevator shaft and just send the elves up it to the roof.
Up and down.
It's New Jack City. That's what it is. They're dealers now.
They could turn it into a spa.
$5 a rock.
Turn it into a spa or a crack house. One or the other.
They just could make like one of this, like a staff from mithril, and then just like give it to like the king of the elves, and he can run it all over his tree, and then he'll be fine.
Yeah, that's it.
Done. You're cured of AIDS.
I mean, order, because Scott just said, because he was talking about the volcano. Again, they destroyed the lore. It was way earlier. It was in the First Age. It was created by Morgoth. I mean, you have the crap that they do. It's just, but the Mithril, it reminded me of Star Wars. You know, when Lucas went off the rails with midichlorians.
Oh yeah.
Same thing.
You know what you should do for a video, George? What they got wrong. You know, like just do a video that just like every episode, what they got wrong. You know, like
that would be good.
I'd be done next month.
Yeah, hey, do it after the season.
So from there we go on from the fake fucking adversity of
best
the
friends,
king, blah blah. We go to the best friends. Won't you let me tell you my best friends? Because that's what's going on with these two now. They're all of a sudden BFFs, and she's like gonna mentor him and becoming a fucking warrior. And she's like, perhaps we can make one of you yet, because she's giving him the sword, and he's all broken up about how Sauron or not Sauron.
He got taken by,
used him to get the volcano going or whatever. Meanwhile, Elendil and the queen are like, hanging out. And then he realizes she's gone blind, which was kind of like, I'm sorry, but this scene was kind of funny because it was like,
she's just like, I mean, she's leaning sideways on the horse. It's like, maybe you want to push the queen up a little bit. Like she's so stiff and blind. Like there's no acting.
This whole scene, I was like, is this show a joke? Like, is it supposed to be a comedy? Because like it was funny, like in a really sad way. Like it was funny. Like I was like, I don't think this is meant to be funny, but I'm laughing at the fact that this chick is blind now. But it's just weird.
Why? Like, what does this add to the story? There's so many issues especially with this episode in particular. Like, why are you doing this? What is it supposed to add? What is the motivation for this character? Why is this character? They never they will spell out the most obvious things repeatedly, and then you're like, well, okay, she's blind, but why? What's going to happen in the story? Why is this happening?
It's like she's a woman that needs to be even more freaking gimped. So you'd be like, this blind woman is now fucking amazing. Like,
it's like where did Samoans come from in this show? I mean,
I was going to ask that too, but everybody looks so diverse.
I was like,
what do you mean?
Well, the kid on the bottom right, he might not be Samoan, but he definitely is.
2 guys later when they go to the camp, it's like, these are Samoans. I'm like, it's the same thing with the Harfoots. I was like looking at a Benetton which again would be fine in a normal fantasy show, but it just seems like so much of their DEI policies.
That's probably what it is.
Well, I mean,
it's another bit on the check sheet.
I think so.
Well, they have. Amazon has that diversity, equity, and inclusion policy.
Yes.
But I thought a lot of it before the show was for, typical Hollywood virtue signaling. But no, they literally went down it from casting, directing.
Hang on, Scott. Jane,
yeah, please.
Jane was saying something, and she kind of got drowned out. What were you saying, Jane?
No, I mean, in terms of just like, I guess if they were Southlanders, they're in the Southland, so they're just generic brown. I don't think any of them are supposed to represent any particular races. They're supposed to represent different colors.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but like the Harfoots, and in society, it's this always happens when you have a small cluster, like one of those hidden, tribes in the Amazon that never sees humans for hundreds of years. They're so diverse.
I mean, I think the Harfoots go around stealing other people's babies. That's my theory. That's explains everything.
I mean, they're clearly not isolated.
They sneak in the middle of the night to repopulate their town.
Oh my god, I wouldn't.
Who's the bad version of Santa Claus? I forgot his name. The one who puts
Krampus.
Krampus.
Okay. Question. She didn't even singe an eyelash. How did she go blind? Her eyebrows are perfect.
I was going to say that. I was going to say, what is going on with the eyebrows? Because there should be no hair on her face. Like this, she got
or her head.
Well, we should have almost like a Neo Matrix, burn. Like at least give me something.
Like this entire region of her eyes should be like basically black soot. Like it should be like because she's burned in the eyes, right? Like this should be
the thing is, I'm sure at the end when she's got the blindfold on, she actually is scarred. So why is it not here?
There is a scar. There's a little bit of a scar here, and there's.
But she's quite banged
here.
up. I'll have to look.
We'll have to look at that again.
That's a blister. Oh wow!
That's all she's got.
But why is she wearing it over her eyes? If is it maybe the lights are like, because she's blind? Okay, we got that.
It's
but like,
because I think it's because she said all I can see is gray. So I guess she's trying to like, I don't know,
maybe try to
like
heal it.
just black. Like, I don't know, like so it's dark and not gray anymore. I don't know, because she wants to see just darkness. I have no idea.
Can't they put some like seeds on her eyes or something?
Yeah.
That worked before. Brought someone back from the dead, basically.
You'd think they would have at least covered her eyes at this point, so there's no further damage.
Well, no, because she didn't want them to make any reference to it till they got back to the camp. So
why?
people,
Because
she
she can
was
look strong. She can look strong. Remember, she's like,
Jane.
No, but that's.
No,
but it goes back to what we were saying before, how they don't understand how things work, like how people work.
Right.
If she had a battle scar to the extent that she went blind trying to
People
help people,
fight for her.
they would fight for her. That's a leader. Like,
Hell
that's
yeah.
a leader. Respect that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it makes no sense though. Like her entire eyes should like have no hair.
Yeah, none.
Like,
I mean,
she got singed in the face. I paused it on the fucking scene where the sparks were like going into her face. Like, you know, have you guys ever had a barbecue accident? Like, you know, this bitch. Like,
I've had fire. Like, look, fire. If you get close enough to it, it singes your arm hair. These people still have pretty perfect looking hair. I don't know how it works. Not even ash in it. Like, you know, except for Galadriel or whatever the hell her name is.
Have you never seen anyone blowing out birthday candles and their hair just goes poof? Like, it goes up instantly.
Michael Jackson, didn't he burn or something?
Oh yeah, the Pepsi commercial.
What about Richard Pryor? Richard Pryor when he lit himself on fire.
Crack pipe. Yes.
Look it. This is it. This is all her little scars.
Maybe there was some swelling we didn't know about. Like, you know, I mean,
also technically her eyes should be like now. I think like because now that she's gone blind, she should have kind of like silvery looking eyes.
Yes.
Like my
aunt contacts.
Yeah, my aunt is blind in one eye. So like her, like I remember when I was a kid, her eye used to always trip me out because it was kind of gray, like it was a gray eye, and I was like, oh, you look so trippy, and she's like, I'm blind in one eye, like God. But that should be what's going on with her eyes. Is like it should be like I don't know, some sort of contact. So you're kind of like, oh, damn, she's blind now.
Well, let's not forget nowadays, like actors don't go the extra mile. Like look at you know, Game of Thrones. Like, can I get one Valerian? I don't care if he's black or white. Give me purple freaking eyes.
Yeah,
I just want one. I
wonder why they didn't do that, because it's just
because it was the context. They complained about the context. Same reason Harry Potter. I mean, that was a kid, but he didn't have green eyes.
It's also stupid. Now, Jane has to go really soon, so I want to talk about this moment with her with when they catch up to. I'm just going to fast forward for a minute. So when they finally catch up to this to the queens. The queens, and then they're like, you know, oh my God, we're gonna save everybody.
The girl boss moment.
Yeah, they found Persian woman. Just randomly, she just showed up and she's like, "Hey,
still looking hot
over here." Like, yeah, she was so hot too. She like had
so
no dirt on her.
She's
like,
the cleanest one there.
Yeah,
she was so clean. Like, I was like, how are you?
They're near a river. I
guess maybe she washed. I don't know. But then they're like, you know, chilling out, like they're talking, and then freaking Elendil starts bawling his eyes out, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, why are you crying? Because she's out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Like, what? Why?
First of all, here's the other thing too about that scene. He's not amongst the people making plans.
No.
If he comes over, he tells the queen we'll be ready in about an hour, and then he goes off to the side while the people who are not captains of the military are having a discussion about what's to come. And it's like, what is this scene?
No, he cries immediately after she says, we're going to come back. We're going to leave and come back with another army. He's like, oh no, I've got to meet Galadriel again. I can't believe this. I thought we escaped.
But he can't act how hard he's trying. That's when I'm just like, look at him. It's like that. We got to meme that.
Dude, when I was watching this, I started laughing because I was like, he's literally every Lord of the Rings fan because we've all been crying watching this shit. Like, what is
he is the perfect meme.
But look right behind him. Look at
all the ladies. ladies.
Look at Galadriel right behind him.
Glaring at him.
No, but she's like, I pegged you, bitch. Take it. Stop. Smile.
Yeah, look at walk away.
She's giving him like the evil eye, like pathetic loser crying.
Why is Muriel looking at him? She can't see.
Because she's like, I'm next. She's like, I'm next. What are you doing?
It's almost like go make me a sandwich, and she's just it's so ridiculous. Oh god, that's a meme, perfect meme picture.
He's like they didn't use Vaseline. Oh my god.
Oh my god, it's true. He's gonna get pegged to get on the boat by all
Next scene's like the crying game. He's in the shower, all curled up, crying.
Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to talk about before Jane leaves was the finally mentioned the husband and the brother. So let's
my
talk about
god,
that, because this was a big deal. We've been talking about how Celeborn hasn't been around. Celeborn. So
have you seen Lady G's theory on this?
No.
It's one of the things that doesn't make sense, but it makes as much sense as the rest of the show. That Adar will turn out to be Celeborn, and she will save him.
How? Well, she met him. She saw him in the last episode.
Who?
Galadriel talked to Adar.
Yeah, it's like maybe he's so full of darkness and so far gone, she just can't have seen him.
Oh my god!
She can't recognize him, like it twisted him. Is that what she's saying?
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
it's anything at this point is up in it.
Because there's even the thing of he went off to fight orcs, but that guy's meant to be the first orc, so the timeline doesn't fit. And normally you'd be like, yeah, that discounts it. But in this show, there's been so many contradictions already. People survived a volcano. At this point, I'm willing to do anything. Deezer could be Sauron at this point. I'm all for it.
Screen Rant. I didn't read the article, but Screen Rant has an article that says this fixes a plot in the original movies.
Really? She's supposed to be.
Yeah,
and where's her
I'll
daughter?
I'll find it.
And where's her daughter, Celebrian? She disappeared too.
She's long gone too, I guess. But
they never say in that article what in particular is being fixed.
They didn't say it because I didn't find it either. But I'll put it in the
caption.
It's just bad. Lady G's theory, it could turn out to be true. Who the hell knows at this point? But
that's crazy.
What they do in the show is conveniently remove the males. That's what they do. It's just like with Muriel's father being on his deathbed instead of just dead and her throne usurped. Right. They have to create a circumstance in which she can be a queen. And the only way they do that is to prolong his death. And so it's the same thing with Galadriel. The only way she can be this single, angry, bitter person is if they remove her husband temporarily. It's insane.
No man can control her. The Rings of Power just fixed its biggest Galadriel problem, a massive Galadriel reveal in the Rings of Power.
People just print anything.
What were they? Do we know?
How did they fix
It's almost hard. It's hard to find the fix. It's hard to. I didn't see it, and Jane also said they didn't point it out, right?
No, I didn't see what they were talking about. Was
the big problem with Galadriel hasn't been that she's different to the books, but that there's been no justification for why she's different. What?
Oh. They're doing retroactive changes.
Yeah,
the
pretty
scene
much.
reeks of like they just reached this part and we're like, hang on. Is
Yeah.
he supposed to have a husband? They just like made one scene where they mention him quickly and move on as if nothing's happened.
It's like a reshoot totally too. Like just fit it in somewhere, please. Oh God.
Oh my God.
Right.
Oh, there we
then
go.
they
And
also
then my
down
husband.
talk him as well. Like his armor didn't fit. Why wouldn't his? What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
He's an elf lord. He is like a high elf, and you're gonna tell me he's like, oh man, my armor doesn't work. Not again. You know, like he always gets screwed over.
Because it's all a joke now.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
We did finally get a name for the brother because we didn't know the
Finrod.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we do.
Finrock.
She lost him back at home.
Right.
This is the dumbest show I've ever seen.
What do y'all think about the kid? I think he's a horrible actor, but kid's actor.
He's a kid.
He needed better director. But do y'all think he's an elf? I'm just curious because it seems like they've shown him twice his ear.
I think he is.
Yeah.
I mean,
it doesn't really matter. It's a pile of garbage, but I was just curious.
I think the daddy is, George. The daddy is the
Capoeira
elf,
guy. It's the
dude.
Capoeira guy. Yeah.
I thought you think they had the black elf in her?
Yeah, they banged.
Oh yeah.
Come
Wait,
on.
did you just say you don't agree?
No, I don't think so.
No, me either. But he does have what is the reason for the little Dutch boy haircut other than to cover his ears? So maybe mom just has a thing for elves.
We haven't heard Desperoux's theory. Do you think?
100%. I think he's their kid. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I think so too.
Okay,
it's either that or one thing they've put in deliberately to make you think it is just so they can disprove it later.
All right, I know this won't make sense because it's this show, but I mean, in the earlier episodes, it's like he's he implies like he always wanted to tell her he loved her, but he showed her in all the other ways.
Exactly.
So like maybe with his penis, I guess. Like I showed you I loved you.
They set it up so that it's unrequited love.
Yes,
love has
absolutely.
never actually been expressed.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine them having sex, having a whole child, and he never said he loved her.
The truth is she's been banging everybody else in that elfin, she's like, I would have done you if you just like pushed a little, I'm a single mom. I need money. Everybody hates me here.
I mean, otherwise, wouldn't we have like heard him talk about his father at some point in any of the conversations?
Maybe he doesn't know. That's what I was thinking. Is like because all the villagers hate elves the way they showed it in the beginning.
Dude, his friend was like, knife is you. So like, obviously, he's not gonna tell people he's half elf, and he's all like,
no. I don't think he knows. What I mean is, like, if it wasn't Arendir's kid, there would have been a discussion about the kid's father at some point, like how, like why he's not there, for instance.
Oh my god, that would be warped though, because it is.
Jane, they said he left, right? I don't know.
I think so, but that would explain if he was just part of the local garrison and left. Like,
he went out for a pack of smokes.
The war in Korea or whatever, and they had Korean baby kids.
Yeah,
he ran into the Harfoots and he never came back.
There you go, Harfoot.
He's now fertilizer.
He's a Harfoot sperm bank now.
We got a couple of these super chats. We got Corey Castle for $20. Thank you so much. Saying they might try to steal Horan's story for Celeborn, where he's held in the high place with Morgoth's watching everything.
So what is that, George? Huron.
Say it again.
Huron?
I wasn't. Huron. They're talking about Huron from the Huron's Tales.
Yeah, they might try to steal the Huron story for Celeborn, where he's.
What happened was Morgoth took Huron, and when he was just basically messing with his family, he took Huron and he put him on top of this mountain in a chair. So as Morgoth was basically messing, it's called the Tales of Huron and the Children of Huron. As he was destroying his family, the father had to watch this. It's like
Clockwork Orange style, like forced to watch it
for years. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Well, that sucks. Ooh,
well, that's a story they can ruin. That'd be great.
A beautiful story. It's actually,
exactly. So let them ruin it.
It's a tragic story. It has a lot of it's really great.
Do you have any thoughts on this super chat?
I was just thinking it'd be funny if the dwarves went up the Mithril Gap, reached the top of the mountain, and that's where Celeborn is. They're like, all right, mate, what are you doing up here?
He was that one that fought the Balrog, so that was his light that made Mithril. All right, I got you.
I still think the Balrog has been done bad. That's his home. Come on, these fuckers.
It's his home invasion.
I think Corey's right, because they have been stealing other characters' stories and applying them to their new characters.
Yeah.
So that very well could be what they've done. They've done that before.
They should be fired. These guys need to be like hung up on a petard. And they said for the next season, I think I mentioned that to you last week, Nina and Jane. They're not looking for directors who have experience in fantasy and sci-fi, even though Tolkien. Nope. They're like, guess what? We're gonna have an all-female crew of directors. That's it. That's the qualification. Like,
well, can they get an all-female crew of directors who have talent?
Yeah, can we
say that? That's the point.
Work for She-Hulk.
I mean, they are women.
No, but the point is they said they're even going to pick from pools of women who have no experience to give them a leg up.
That's the problem. They want to get people who either share their mentality already or who they can mold into.
Oh my gosh. I was working at Subway.
Speaking of that, Jane, and I know this is totally off topic, but I saw a movie the other night that I was like, oh, okay, this is starting out okay. And then it turned out like to be complete shit. And it was with Mila Kunis. And I love Mila Kunis.
Yeah, she's awesome.
I know what you're talking about.
What movie?
The new Netflix one, right?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
The
What is it?
Woman on Earth or something?
Yes, the smartest girl on earth or something like that. My God, this movie was like basically it was like kind of like a Me Too story that like, started out okay. But then by the end of it was basically like, I'm an independent woman that don't need no man. And I'm going to leave my like supportive fiance and just go and work for the New York Times. I was like, what is happening in this movie? It was so bad.
And she's pretty base. She's pretty base too. I'm shocked she would do a movie like that.
It was fucked, Scott. Like I was like, this is not the type of movie that I would expect Mila to do.
No.
Totally did it. And I was like, I cannot believe she did this movie.
That sucks.
So, yeah.
I think she was sold on the victim narrative because it is a girl who's raped who gets revenge, which is fine. Like I love that part. But then after that, her whole story it falls directly into their agenda.
Yeah. But also, like, I felt like she was actually a bad person throughout the whole movie. And then they were like, oh, yeah, this is like her. And like, I thought they were trying to blur the lines again.
Like, I didn't think it was like, I thought she would be healed and she would reunite with her husband and everything.
So did I. So did I. No,
because he was like at the end, he was like, I understand, we can work through this together.
He was supportive the whole time. And then she was like,
stupid idiot.
Man. Fuck you. I don't need your ass. Bye. I'm sorry.
If you look at the stats of directors and stuff, from the 2019 to 2020 TV season, women accounted for 30% of all creators, directors, writers, producers, and everything else. So 30%. So if you decide that you're only choosing women, you're choosing from a pool of 30%.
Yeah.
You will never be able to choose the best people from a pool of 30% when the majority are something that you've already written out.
Yeah.
So just from statistics alone, you're going to end up with inevitably weaker, less skilled people than you could have had if you hadn't just arbitrarily restricted yourself to a
great point.
And that's the hypocrisy of Hollywood, man.
Right.
That's the hypocrisy.
That's
They're just
the problem too. Even what they're doing is mediocre.
Yes.
Even what they're doing is mediocre by the lowest person in Hollywood standards. Random fans could write a better story than what they've put together.
George and Disparu would have wrote a way better story than what.
Oh, definitely. That together we would have.
Everybody in the chat collectively could put together a better story than what they did.
Well, that's the thing. Even watching the show, you can just discuss it. Like, well, this scene would have been way better if they'd just done it this way. And even using their own plot points, you still can just make the characters better, do the story in a different way, tell it in a different way, with relatively minor changes.
Yeah.
It's just, at no point, they were so determined that they're correct. And it was going, it's like the whole Durin comment about anti-tradition and anti-the past. Like, they're coming from a position that this was old, the ideas were wrong, and therefore it has to be fixed and changed and corrected. And so, as long as you come from that, you will inevitably think that you're right, your ideas are better than what came before. And so you don't care. They're not even looking for fix because they're just so convinced that they are the right ones in the scenario.
And obviously, they're always taking away from especially specifically in Lord of the Rings as well, like or Rings of Power. They're wanting to take from, Lord of the Rings, and this is one of the famous scenes from Lord of the Rings where the hobbits are hiding down in the little hidey hole, and the dude is what was his name?
It's one of the Wraiths, yeah.
Yeah, they're like walking by or whatever, they're on a horse. But they kind of like clone that.
The Nazgul.
The Nazgul, thank you. They're like, they kind of reclone that scene here with the Galadriel and whatever.
Thank God she saved them. Yeah.
The kid literally pulls his sword as loud as physically possible so you can hear him over the hill. If he just sat there, nothing would have happened.
But Disparu, we know that they fucking hear noise because of that time that he was in the well for fucking the entire day and didn't make a single fucking noise trying to climb out of that fucking well thing. Like, and they apparently didn't notice that he was down there. I was like, what the fuck is...
Like, I think they're making him out to be, like, his arc is going to be, he's going to be a hero, he's going to be a great warrior. I have no idea how that kid's going to do it. I really don't. But
why?
They're setting him up.
Yeah.
He's going to be a warrior?
He wants to be.
Now he's got this sword. Like, I always think,
Did anybody else notice that it shrunk from the first episode?
I did notice. Because I was like, wait, this used to be a sword. Now
It was an anime sword, like from Final Fantasy, where she's like have to have 3 hands, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, you go. I'm like, hey, what the hell happened to that?
I felt like it used to be a sword, and now it's like a dagger. And I was like,
it was a great sword.
It was a great sword. When she did that whole, Matrix jump, leap, whack that.
Oh my God, I just saw another scene where freaking Elrond is crying. Everybody fucking cried.
Every man cried. Every man cried.
Look, he's crying in this.
Man cried.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like, I'm tired
darkness,
of all
my
the men
old friend.
crying in this.
Yeah.
It's a push from everywhere. Oh, men have to get in control of their feelings. Men have to do this. Men have to be like weaker. It's basically the idea that men are broken women, which is why
Exactly.
They're suffering more. It includes all the rates of everything are way higher. They just think that if
that was
only
a
they act
scene.
like women, it'll be way better. It's like,
well, just like
no.
The female character is actually written for a male character, so they just have a female act like a man. So instead of like using their feminine abilities, they just try to act like a man, and they come off as assholes. I mean, look at Galadriel. She is, I mean, from the movies, she is this gorgeous, powerful sorceress. And why would you ever want to change that? Like, she is powerful in her own right. She could still be not.
Oh.
No. I don't remember this. Did he really say it?
No, I do. Yeah. It's when he was about to, he was like, because it was actually a great moment between father and daughter. She's there breaking down on the side, and he's like, look, we need to fix this. We've got a problem. You can do that later. For now, suck it up and get it done. And he's like, oh, just let her have a depressed breakdown in the middle of a tragedy. It'll be fine. Like, no, it was a horrific advice.
Yeah, be weak.
Yeah, that's literally what it was.
Yep.
Just let her be a vixen for a while.
Hell? Yes. Everyone's freaking crying in this. I'm sick and tired of all this bullshit. Okay, wait. I have another question, especially for the lore people, because
who is that?
What was this whole thing? Because so that the father and the son get into a fight, and they're like, and he's like, "Daddy, you suck," and then so the dad like takes his fucking like necklace thing and like.
To mean you're
strips
not
it
prince
off.
anymore. To mean you're not. Okay, first of all, you can't have two Durins at the same time. In Tolkien, you can't, because they're reincarnations of each other. And Tolkien had two ways he approaches, because he changed it in his life. One is that Durins would, after one got to a certain age when you couldn't function that much more, they would take him, they would put him in a tomb, they would lay him to rest there, and after an indeterminate period of time, his soul would go to the halls of Mandos, then come back rejuvenates his body, and he's a reincarnation with all the memories of the other, so he could serve his people. The other one was he dies and just reincarnates into the next body. So you can't have them. So that's the greatest lore break they did in this whole thing, is you got father and son, which didn't exist. Right. So what he basically did there, he took it from the son saying, you're not the prince anymore.
Oh, so he disowned him, basically.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I kind of
as
figured
royalty.
too, but it was kind of like, I don't know, this was really weird, because I was like, okay, so why didn't you disown him before then? Like, now you're disowning him? I mean,
it's like what the queen should have done with Harry and Meghan Markle.
Well, in the first episode, though, where they got into a fight, he was all like, I love you forever, son, even when I don't agree. And then, like, 5 episodes later, you're fucking disowned, bitch.
God, I totally forgot
that.
I totally forgot that.
I'm surprised he didn't seal his ass into the wall. You know, we got Harfoots killing each other. Why not the door?
Oh, that's so brilliant. I totally forgot he said that. This show is so stupid.
What the hell? Like, what happened to the fatherly love? Like, I'm so confused. It's like, okay,
I love
now
your
they
son.
disagree again.
Yeah, I love your son.
Get out.
I'll always, even if I don't agree with you, I'll be with you. You're gonna die now. You know, it's like, what? And then he takes his wife to become like just toxic. It's such a stupid show.
It's dumb.
Oh God.
Dumb. Disper, did you have anything to add to that?
That entire scene was like a whiny teenage kid just bitching at his parents. And I'm on the full dad's side. After everything he said to him, I'm like, yeah, kick him out of the place. He gets what he deserves at that point. I don't even know why he's still allowed in the mountain. They were going to kick Elrond out. I'd have kicked him out as well.
Holy shit, I just noticed this. Sorry, go ahead.
Because he was even like the I love him as much as the elf in my own mother's womb or something.
Yeah.
I was like, how dare you? And it was like,
yeah.
I'm fully on the father's side.
I was like, dude.
He said fired. He's like, I love my brother like he was. I love him like a brother like he was fired in my mother's womb. I think it was a weird word.
Yeah.
It was weird.
But just the idea that like, I think your dad doesn't like elves.
Yeah.
I think you got the point. Like, you're really now like, what's the point of even bringing that up? You're just gonna piss him off anyways. Like, we all know that already. Like, it's so stupid.
I was expecting Durin to have like an ELM shirt come off. Elf lives matter, just like.
But they don't even explain. Like, they don't have him explain to his son why he's upset.
Yeah, why?
Well, he's
that's why I'm so shocked, Jade, because in the last episode he's all like, I love you forever, son, don't worry. And then like the next episode he's like, fuck you, son.
His reason, I love his reasoning though.
You think you're bros?
Right.
No.
But I love his reasoning, like, it's time for them to die. All things die, but Dad, we have something that could actually save them. Nah, no, it's their turn to die. The whole race. Like, all right, Dad. And I mean, they could go on a boat, though. Right?
Right. Which is what they'll do. They said we either have to cure ourselves or go back to Valinor.
Which seems so much cooler. Why the frig are they in Middle Earth?
Yeah, let me go to the Garden of Eden. Yeah, y'all, fuck this place. No,
but I don't understand that. Like, what's the point of being in Middle Earth if like that place looks so much like the minute the elves got close? Like, can you imagine like you just all of a sudden break out in song? Like that's how great it is.
I think one way to think about it is that in Valinor there are lesser beings.
Or do they give up their being?
No, they're the same. It's just in Valinor they're lesser than the angelic creatures.
Yeah, the Valar.
In Middle Earth they're the greatest creatures amongst the beings there.
Well,
so
I have
a power thing.
But I have a question then about that. And I've always had this question. When Galadriel is offered the ring and she denies herself that power, she says, now I can go into the west as herself. As Galadriel. So I always assumed like they lose a piece of their own personal oneness. Like they become like a unity thing.
No, it's because she was, you have to understand, because she was with Fëanor at the time when with the slaying of Aqualande, when Fëanor was going after the Silmarils that Morgoth had, he needed ships. So they went to the Teleri, which is on Aman. Valinor is a city in the Blessed Realm, and Teleri is another place. And Fëanor wanted the ships. The Teleri were like, we're not giving you the ships. So it was the first time you had like a Cain and Abel moment where one elf slew another. They got into this whole thing. She witnessed it. A lot of the elves after that point, the ones who followed Fëanor, the others like, we're getting the fuck out of here. A lot of them were cursed by one of the Valar called Mandos. He was like, y'all are cursed. If you continue on this path, you can never come back to Aman. Well, there are two ways Tolkien wrote it, is that she's supposed to have carried that ban up until the third age, but then he rewrote it saying that after the first age, it was lifted. She could return. But she didn't return because she pretty much kind of like told him in a way, like, I'm not coming back.
Okay.
So when she did the test with the ring, it's kind of like, I'm pure now.
Oh, okay.
All my sins are washed away. I did the test. I can return home.
I misunderstood that.
Like what you saw when she was there in Valinor is how they live there.
Yeah.
Like they're not a unified mind or hybrid.
Oh, no.
Okay. No, I just thought like they lost their own like personal like
individuality.
Thank you. I couldn't even think of the word I was looking at. Yeah, individuality where she won't be Galadriel.
No.
Okay.
No difference. It's just a heavenly place instead of the.
Okay.
They have full lives there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So real quick, because I know Jane and George have to take their leave very soon. So I just want to, Jane, I want to get your last thoughts on Feminem's appearance and the fact that she basically set everything on fire, or he or it, whatever.
Yeah, what the frig is
and
that?
I don't know.
I think that I wish they had just killed them all, but unfortunately, they didn't do that.
I love Jane.
It would have been great.
My theory is that these are Maiar, and I don't know how or why they would be here or what they're doing, other than hunting down the stranger. Possibly, he's an evil. One of them turned good, or being turned good, and they're trying to recover him or stop him. But that's sort of I don't know, but that's the best theory I could come up with for that.
That's a solid theory. I like that.
George, how about yourself?
I had originally heard a rumor that they were supposed to be on the trail of Sauron, and they were supposed to be priestesses of Sauron. But actually, Jane's theory, now that I heard it,
Jane's theory.
It actually has more weight to it. I like that.
Well, there you go.
Because in Maiar, that would make sense.
I think I've heard Gary say that too, that they're the Maiar or whatever. Drew says Feminem is my hero. Wow.
I mean, they spent all day collecting all this food.
And then they burned it all.
Vegetables and everything.
I didn't feel bad for the Harfoots because you had a little mouthy fucker who's sitting here going, I'm going to bean you. It's like, no, midget. You can't bean anything.
But it's one of those things where it's like, oh, those dudes don't look right. Why don't you shut up and let them just keep walking the other direction? No, you have to mouth off to them. Like, you mouth off to them. You're an idiot.
He went that way.
Yes.
It's like, what the fuck?
Yes.
Shut up, you stupid little shit. Like,
the other thing is why are they so filthy? I mean, you see every time they focus in on their hands and feet,
dude, they kept focusing in, like, just like into the grains of their feet, and I'm like, bro, I
Yeah,
don't
or
wanna
under their
see
fingernails
this. I
and
don't want to see this shit. Like,
Yeah.
it was so
I'm-
bad.
And I've read in the Irish Times 3 times they're like, this is not how the Irish are.
Right.
Because look at the representation. They're like, they're filthy. They're using all
They're
this type
gross.
of slang. I was like, we never saw the hobbits like this from Peter Jackson.
No,
I
they
mean, like,
eat each other.
come on. Every time they show, I don't know what's the girl's name? Nori, I think it is.
Nori.
Yeah, Nori Brandyfoot.
You see her fingernails? I don't know.
Look at this.
Yes, they're disgusting.
Look at this. This is so fucking gross. I was like, why? Why do we have to look at like when they showed the Hobbit feet? The Hobbit feet were like hairy and cute,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it was like big and whatever. This is disgusting. Nobody wants to see it. Jane, I know you have to go. Please let everyone know where they can find you, and let me get this fucking disgusting Harfoot.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. I post movie, TV reviews, and occasionally some pop culture commentary. You can also find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Rumble.
Yeah, Rumble.
At Jane Theory.
Yay! Love you, Jane. Enjoy the other show. I hope it's a good one.
Yes, Jane. Rock on.
See you guys later. Bye.
Hi, Jane.
Scott, George, do you guys have to leave too? I know
Yeah.
Scott, you're watching it, right?
I'm watching
Okay.
it. Yep.
Okay, so you guys have to go to Scott. Tell everyone where they can find you before you leave.
Yeah, you can check me out on my demonetized YouTube channel, where you'll see Jane Theory every Saturday night on The Dump with some other great live streamers, and also on Rumble. Please support me there too, because they were really nice to verify me and give me my unique URL, and I really appreciate them over there. And we need a place to be able to tell YouTube to go screw, but I'll still take your support here. But thank you as always.
Amazing.
And
I'm
it was a
sorry
pleasure
about
meeting
your
you, man.
channel.
Yeah, they smacked me in about a month. I should get it back after I delete half my stuff. But anyways,
Have a good one.
thank you guys. See you later.
Thank you for being
Bye.
here.
Bye.
And George, Sarah sent $5 just to say George. So
what's
I
going
just
on?
wanted to let you know that. And please tell everyone where they can find you before you leave.
You can find me on YouTube at Georgia Giant Slayer and start sharing the videos. I don't know what the hell is going on. I think I'm like,
Tell
YouTube
me
has
about it,
me
dude.
boxed in. It's like I was doing great. The last 3 weeks, it's like they're just not moving. But I just put out a video on what's wrong with the MCU. Tomorrow I'll be on Base Staff Monday with Adam Krigler. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Georgia Giant Slayer. Great to see you
Thank
again
you,
this
George.
week.
You
Thank
too.
you so
United.
much.
Later.
Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Are you still okay here for now, or
Yeah, I can stay. I was
Okay.
just gonna say that whole scene where it was before the witches came in. I guess they count as witches. And did the whole fire thing. The horrible scene with Nori Brandyfoot, where she's like, I should just let that wizard die. I shouldn't have helped him at all. I should have left him in the craters to die. I'm like, are you forgetting he's the only reason your entire family is alive? She's literally going, I think I should have left him back there so that all of us could be dead at this point. That would have been way better. It's a way better future. There is no logic to anything that happens with the Harfoots. They're not just evil, they are incredibly stupid.
they're so mean to each other? Well, like, I mean, she's just a freaking dummy. Like, I'm just like, what are you talking about? Because you're right. Like, I was thinking about that too. I'm like, because wouldn't they have just left you in the fucking bog or whatever that you guys were going through, and like you couldn't make it because you got stuck and you needed a giant to help you?
Yeah, without him, the father's broke his foot, they can't keep up, and they presumably would have just died on the way. And she's like regretting it all. And you remember, he hasn't done anything wrong. At no point has that wizard done a single thing wrong, and she's like, I should have left him to die. Why? Well, was it a brother? I think it was a brother, walked under a tree, and that's somehow his fault, and for that, I should have let him die. Like, there's never a reason
was it her
why the
brother? I thought it
characters
was
do it.
some rando Harfoot. I thought it was like a rando.
I think
one.
it's part of the family. It's a brother or I can't remember whether it's brother or sister.
Oh, see again, like the
I've
show
never
doesn't
seen him
even do the
before, but-
setup right. Yeah, I've never
assuming
seen
it's
him until this episode, so I was like, oh, okay, I guess. But yeah, like I mean, they're just such bad people. The Harfoots are bad people. Like, you don't feel bad for them at all. Yeah, hold on, let me get that scene. Yeah, I mean, these people too. I was like, what the hell? They're just like hanging out in the lake. They're like, oh, okay. There's a bucket.
Yeah, like
Just
I can't
floating
understand.
down the lake.
The only reason that bucket exists is because her friend like saw footsteps and then went to hide, and her idea of hiding is to leave behind a massive bucket for people to find that they exist. Like, if you're gonna hide, take the bucket with you. It's the basic that you're supposed to be experts at it. It's like, they're so
might
terrible.
want to take the bucket with you, but no, she just like drops it in the fucking river.
And it's the same thing. Why does that bucket exist? Well, they had to have a reason to know they're in the area, and so the bucket had to go down the stream. Everything is like, why did it happen? Because it needed to.
Because it needed to.
That's why I'm annoyed at Brandyfoot, because I'm like, there is literally no reason for her to change her opinion about him at this point.
Well,
they
they tried to set up the reason, and the reason was that when he tried to heal himself with the magic, that he almost killed her and blew her arm off because she was dumb enough to touch him exactly in the spot that he was doing magic on. So
look, if a car is driving down the motorway and I walk in front, it's my fault. Like, it's not the car's fault. I can't go and start going, oh, I wish the car had never been invented. We shouldn't have invented petrol. It's all horrible. I wish the petrol had stayed in the... It's just ridiculous.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like what Antifa think, though. Like, they're like, if we walk in front of the car and it runs us over, it's their fault. Like, it's not ours.
Wait, you've got braking distances to count on them. That's kind of the thing. That tree was going to fall because of the magic he was doing. It's your fault if you walk underneath the branch as it's falling.
Yeah.
And even then, like, she literally dives underneath it. She doesn't, like, pull the kid back. That's how I'm going to do it. It is literally in the film where the tower's falling, like a big skyscraper's falling, and they run along the tower rather than 2 steps to the side. That's what that scene was.
Let me get a couple of these super chats because people have been really generous tonight. We got the Tender Warrior for 68 for $5 says Mount Doom saw mountains and Harfoot's disease and tried to cure it. I wish that they're gross.
We just need to burn these people off the earth.
Yeah. It's like the earth was balancing itself. Emissarial Emmy for 5 says, count me in on Team Adar as well. There you go. I'm Team Sauron all the way at this point. Dara Muth for 5 says, you can literally go on here on YouTube and see an archive interview with the BBC of J.R.R. Tolkien talking about his creation. Look it up sometime. I have. It's great. Arund Her for 5 says the number of inconsistencies is not humanly possible. It looks written by software.
I genuinely think they had a load of plot points they needed to hit. Volcano needs to explode. We need to go here. These people need to go across the water to get to this place. And so they were just writing the connections in between it rather than anything else.
Agreed.
Like,
Agreed. Yeah, they were like, okay, we need Galadriel, and she needs to be the best ever. We need Isildur to end up at that big battle at some point in the future and kill Sauron. We need basically somebody to be Sauron, so we'll have to like plant different people who we think can be like basically like the red herrings to who Sauron really is. We all know it's Halbrand. And then the volcano needs to explode. That's it. Oh, and we need to discover Mithril. Like that's it.
And
5
it's entirely
points.
backwards. Like, I'm not a writer, but if I was going to write a book, I'd create a world and a universe and like the whole political structure and everything. And then you create the characters, put them in locations, and think from their perspective of how they would react to the situation. Rather than trying to force them down a path that you have in mind. It just seems to make more sense to just start and go as the characters would. Whereas in this, they have to change personality in 30 seconds because the story needs them to.
Yeah, like Disa. She was like so nice and loving, and all of a sudden it's like she's like the fucking emperor. And I was like, what the hell's what happened to Disa? She was like the only character I liked in this show.
She was the only actual like good character who like from a moral because she just wanted to cook and feed people.
Yeah, she
wasn't evil at all.
And she just liked her husband. Like she was just like a married woman that loved her, like, you know, husband and her kids. And all of a sudden now she wants to destroy the world and like own all of the dwarves. And like, what happened to you?
I mean, if they are, they could be doing the whole Balrog corruption with her. But if you like with Brandyfoot, her change with the wizard only happened because she had to change back again like 3 minutes later. As if, oh no, I like him now. I've got to go and save him. So just because they wanted that twist, they had to do a meaningless twist earlier in the episode based off nothing.
Well, they were like all, well, he gave us apples now, so we should probably go save him because he's not so bad. Like, and it's just like, what?
I mean, you healed 5 trees. There's a whole orchard behind you.
Oh my god. It's like, oh yeah, let's go find him now. And then like the fat chick is like, yeah, I'll go too. And because I'm Sam, and you know, I'm gonna go. And then all of a sudden, like, for some reason, the black mom is gonna go. And I was like, what? Wait, she's gonna go, right? Is she gonna go? I don't.
Yeah. I think he goes as what.
No, he's not. He's not going because he's gimped now. I think she's gonna go, and the
I thought the family.
The leader, I think.
Yeah, because they go off in the distance. But can you imagine? I've only just thought about how that looks because everyone out that they've left behind has had all of their food burnt by the witches.
Yeah,
and then these guys are just like, okay, we're pissing off now. Hope you survive. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Like, and we couldn't need help, but now we're leaving now. Now you're in trouble and there's got no food.
And she's one of their main, like, gatherers, because she goes around and, like, gets, like, this fucking disgusting snails.
Yeah, he's
and,
the
like,
leader.
Yeah, he's
like,
their leader.
You're all about to die. Bye.
Bye. Oh, no, but you know what, though? He left behind the woman that's always right. So, you know,
yeah, but look at it from his perspective. Like, he's just seen this entire place get wrecked. They don't have any food, so they're all going to starve. And she's like, you know, I think you need to go with them. He's like, actually, you're all about to die. I'm definitely going with them. You know, love, you're always right. I hope you survive, but for now, I'm going to go over here where there's food.
In the true Harfoot fashion, he's like, I'm leaving all you fuckers behind. Bye. Like,
he managed to make himself look as if he was sacrificing something, when actually he's just leaving the starving group of people who've got no food
behind. Yeah. I don't want to get eaten by you savages. I'm leaving to go find that wizard and hope to God that he can make us more food. Hold on, because we skipped a little bit, which is actually this was a big deal. We saw Halbrand finally.
I hated this. Like, look at him. He's basically died. Well, he is dead. He's so injured, like in this scene, that normal human medicine won't save him. He can't just stay there and heal on his own because he will die. He needs elven medicine or he's dead.
He's
dead.
Then
he's just off and walking about, riding a horse for like hundreds of miles. And it wouldn't be so bad if, let's say, they'd left 5 minutes and at least done another scene in the middle. But this is literally the next cut. He's just fine.
Oh my God. Wait, what? Are you saying afterwards? Because that's not... Is that the case?
Yeah, the next scene is him walking about and getting on a horse.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because he gets on the horse and I was like, wait, doesn't that like rip like all of your... Like, assuming you had like stitches on you, which he did in that shot, right? That would rip all of your stitches.
I don't even know if they have stitches. Do they have that kind of medical care? They don't seem to have... They just seem to shove seeds in a wound and set fire to you, from what I saw.
Oh my God, that would like your entire guts would be falling out at that point. Because you're right. Yeah, he starts like galloping away.
Yeah.
And he's like keeping up with her too.
Well, that's the thing. And he walks out under his own steam when on the bed he can like barely move. And I genuinely think that's because she's so short. Because I like normally you'd have him like holding onto the person being helped to the horse. But I think she's so short it would have looked ridiculous. Because he'd have to like put his hand on her shoulder or something.
Right. And then meanwhile they're screaming out like strike to the king. And you know, and they're like, yeah, even though you're totally injured, like you're gonna get on this fucking horse by yourself, bro.
I was like, don't worry, we'll come with you and help you. No, just bye. Hope you survive, mate.
Why is this show like this?
Like Bronwyn. Bronwyn is a healer, and she doesn't go with him.
Yeah, you're right. Bronwyn.
Why can't she get some more of them seeds? They did wonders for her.
It's because she wanted to stay behind and bang the elf.
Well, he could go as well. That's to be like an armor god.
I'll have the healers gather what provisions they can. There's the healer telling them that the
there's multiple healers. So they can even spare a healer because there's multiple of them. They just send him off on his own. The king. Their king. They don't care.
They didn't care about the king
He's not even
that's
worth
returned. They were like, fuck you.
And have you seen the map? Someone made a map of how far they've got to go. It's literally hundreds of miles.
No,
it's all up the entire mountainside.
I didn't see. Well, I didn't see the new map. I keep seeing the stupid map they show, but I haven't.
Of the Southlands, you've got that whole like spine of mountains all the way to the
yes,
top.
Yes,
They basically have to cut left around the mountains and then go all the way up the mountains to at the top.
Oh yeah, because they're going to Valinor, right? Or no?
Linden, I think.
Linden. They're going to Linden. That's right.
It's literally so.
Like
he's
really
doing
far.
that on horseback when he's just lying on his back, barely able to move. So injured, no one can heal him except elves.
He was barely moving and speaking. Like he was like, I thought he was bleeding out for a second there. I thought we were all wrong because I was like, oh, but this guy's gonna die. Like there's no way he can survive this.
What they did to everyone else?
Look at this massive cut. And it's not like they had blood transfusions back then. But the thing is, too, is that like when they say, okay, we got to take him to the elves, like, you know, or whatever. I thought they were going to somehow like get together like a carriage or something and stick him into the carriage and then like have like, you know, I don't know, Galadriel like be like whatever word she said to the fucking horse to be like, let's go faster than the speed of light or whatever. And then they're going to fucking go.
You know that's next week. Next week, they will teleport up to the top of that mountain range and he'll be fine. That's like literally what will happen immediately.
You know it's happening. And then
because the physics in this place,
yeah,
like, ever since rocks sink because they look downwards and boats float because they look upwards, physics doesn't mean anything. We've got the Harfoots; they can't carry a guy who's broken his foot in a carriage. So I think carriages can only carry things, not people. It's just too heavy for them in this world.
Yeah.
Gravity will multiply something.
It's not gonna happen. But you know, Sauron though, he's got to live. He's got to live. Sauron. Wait, what? It's like I thought to try and treat him on the road, but I couldn't do it. Wait, what? Why didn't they do it? Do you remember this line? He looked like he was gonna die.
Wait, no, I didn't. So did he come back with Bronwyn and Arondir? Because they just appeared in this scene.
No, they just appeared.
We've not seen them this entire episode because presumably they were probably just filming another episode at the same time, I guess. But in this, they're just like,
They were already there. No, because this is they were already there. Hold on, let me backtrack because Bronwyn just shows up like out of nowhere when the kid and her reach the village. And then they see like all the people like dying and stuff. So they reach the village.
Once the volcano arrives, because I thought that they came back with the Numenoreans, but we never see them with the Numenoreans.
No.
It's like they always came back on their own.
They came back on their own.
So he's walked this entire way.
Yeah, because when they show up, that like the Numenoreans are already there.
How's he even injured? We never even saw him get injured.
We didn't. Maybe he stabbed himself. Maybe he stabbed himself though, because he's Sauron. He wants to fool you.
No.
This is
it. Like if they do like a flashback scene of all the moment, like what was it called? WandaVision, where they're like, it was her all along. They do that, but it was Sauron.
They're gonna do that. It was Sauron all along, and he's like, and you see him like stabbing himself, like to try and say like, oh yeah, I got hurt. But this is what you see. Like they're already there. This is the scene after Elendil let go of that horse because he felt bad for it. So then they're like walking in the village. So the army's already there. Elendil and the dudes are already there. And then so these guys show up. He goes into the place to like look for his mom, the hut, and then there's all these people with no feet and stuff like that, which again makes no sense. They have no burn marks, but there's like limbs missing and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay,
I mean, I think the only injury is from like the orcs. And they try and bait that she's dead, and I just didn't care at all. You have not made me care about any of these characters.
I didn't care either. I was kind of hoping she was dead, so that there would be some sort of adversity where you're like, oh, okay, so like now the mom's dead, and I was gonna say the horse, the kid has to be now raised by the elf guy. Like, you know, then you're like, oh, okay, so now there's gonna be like a single dad, you know, storyline, or they have to do something a little bit creative. But no, the mom's alive, and of course they're not going to kill like, you know, the independent women who don't need no men or elf. But yeah, so she shows up like out of nowhere, and she's like, I was here helping tend the wounded, who are, because like, I don't know, whatever. And then he sees his daddy, and he's like, Daddy, I love you. But he doesn't actually say that.
No.
But I mean, come on. They're totally
Yeah, I mean, he must be. Like, that kind of hug, there's no reason for him to be that attached to him. And I don't think he knows, but I think they'll do the whole, well, you know, deep down he knows who his father is really all along.
Yeah, because they already did a similar scene to a couple episodes ago when he was teaching him how to like shoot a bow. I was like such a father and son scene. I was like, okay, well, obviously they're like daddy
I mean, he had
son.
great advice. Aim higher. I think I'm a master archer with that kind of advice. This is an elf with literally thousands of years of experience firing a bow. I just go, aim higher.
You couldn't get that kind of
Cheers,
advice.
dude. Couldn't have seen that when I was aiming myself.
No, not at all. Let me get a couple of these super chats here. We've got Aaron Herv, the number. Oh, we got that one. Thank you so much. And then we got a super sticker here. I think it was a heart. So thank you for the heart super sticker. And then the Greek light for $1.99 says, George, keep informing us. Thank you so much. I will let him know you said that. John Thomas for 10 says, not that I want more of this junk, but why are the series only 8 to 10 episodes? Highlander was syndicated and it had 22 episodes. That was the days of the old. Now they don't really do that kind of show anymore. Like I'm watching DS9 and every episode, every season was like 24 episodes at the least.
And so more happened in one episode than all of Rings of Power.
All of this. Yeah.
Like, the series have shrunk in episodes and less happens in them for more money. It's astonishing, really.
Last night I watched that episode where, have you ever seen DS9? So I don't want to like.
Yes, I think there might be a season I've missed somewhere. Because at first I didn't like it when it came out, and then people were like, "Well, it really picks up at the end." So I watched the ending seasons, and then I went back and started watching again. So I think I've watched it all, but not all in one go. If you get what I mean.
I understand. So like I watched the episode last night where Gul Dukat has finally kind of like lost his mind because his daughter gets killed, and it's the episode where like he's being transported somewhere, and then there's an attack, and they get stranded on the planet with Ben, and he's gone crazy, so he's just like talking to himself, like and you know, and he's like pretending to care about Ben, but he wants to just figure out like what Ben thinks of him and like all this stuff. And during that entire episode, I was like sitting there thinking like, so much stakes were laid out on this episode of like these two characters on this freaking like weird planet with this fucking weird cave, and so much more happened in one hour episode than the entire series of Rings of Power that I'm watching right now. And also I fell asleep several times during the episode.
I mean, Star Trek could do that. They could do an entire episode of just one man in a room, and it's way more entertaining. And the thing was, when we used to be spoiled for good entertainment, because when Deep Space Nine first came out, I mean, I was younger, so I couldn't really appreciate it, but I thought the first season was so boring. I went back and started watching it again, maybe like 4 months ago or something, and it's like gold.
It is. It's great.
You go back with different eyes when you see, oh, this is what we can end up with now, and like really appreciate it.
Totally. And it's so funny too, because I was like, when I was watching it, I'm rewatching it probably for like the 10th or 15th time. I don't know how many times I've watched that show, but like I was thinking like when it started too, it was like the golden era of Star Trek, because you had like you still had TNG going at that time. So TNG was like in its final seasons, which was like fucking gold television. Then you had DS9, and DS9 started, and then right when TNG ended, and then DS9 picked up, and it became some of the best fucking Star Trek that's ever been. And then after that, Voyager started, and it was like just like boom, 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 like just the like some of the best Trek era.
Yeah, Voyager's
times.
the one I've seen the most.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the one I've watched multiple times.
I like Voyager. DS9 is my favorite one.
I kind of like the whole the captain and Seven of Nine really hated each other behind the scenes, because she was like, I want to be the main character, and then Seven of Nine comes in and just takes all her glory, and it was really catty. Basically.
Yeah.
She became a fan favorite immediately.
Yeah, they didn't really want her at the beginning. I from what I understand, like, and then Jerry Ryan like killed it, and then they were like, yeah, we need to make her like a permanent cast kind of thing.
It's so weird when you see like Picard and how they've changed the character, and like if this character existed in Voyager, she wouldn't have been popular. Like, you don't even realize why your own show was popular.
It's so crazy. And then John Thomas for another $10. Thank you. Says Disparu. Amazon deliberately destroyed, I think, Wheel of Time as proof. The one power had two sides, but the true power of the dark one had only one side, usable by both. The Aes Sedai are using the one power. I have no idea what you just said, John Thomas, but I'm sure you do.
Wheel of Time is if you want an idea of like men and women are different but equal with different strengths, Wheel of Time is it. Like, and even the magic is built in that kind of way. There's a male half. It's called the one power, but there's two halves: the male half and the female half.
Okay.
And the male channelers go insane because it gets tainted by the dark one. But in the show, they call it the one power, and there's just one power. They don't even reference two halves at all. Either side can use either side, and they actually made it so it's not the male half which is tainted, but when men touch the one power, they are the ones that make it dirty. That's a direct quote from the show. Men
oh my God! So men
it's,
make it dirty. All right.
It is only meant for women. And the only time they even mention two halves of the power is in an external like cartoon that they made as an intro. And I'm like, I'm not even gonna. That's not canon until it's mentioned in the show. It was a horrific thing, and it's literally. It was deliberately destroyed, and you even have the showrunner itself going every time anyone sends me any nasty messages, I'm just gonna turn your favorite character gay. I'm gonna.
Are you serious? I didn't even know about that.
And there's a scene in episode 7. Episode 5 broke me to the point where I just saw it as funny, and I thought, I don't care about the show anymore. It's not Wheel of Time. I'm just gonna take the piss. Episode 7 was so horrible. I edited it once. I've never watched it back. I don't know if there's any mistakes in the video. I'm never gonna watch it again. It annoyed me that much. And there's a whole scene in that which does not make sense because it's like some weird love triangle going on. Absolutely doesn't make sense. And then someone went, unless Perrin's gay. And that makes everything fit. And this is a guy who had a wife. Even in the show, he had a wife, but he's got a future wife coming. Like, it literally makes no sense unless you think that he's actually after Rand. And then so much of the show actually makes sense and fits together. You're like, yep, that's the way it's written.
So this is the kind of experience that you had then.
I am not gay. I have relationships with women, sex with men.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
That one guy told you, I got news for you. That guy's gay.
Oh, absolutely. Because they set up like this love triangle between the main character, then Perrin, and this woman who's with the main character. And he thinks Perrin's cheating on, like, in love with her. But then in the next scene, like, they've all fallen out, and her and him are on a bed together, and she's, like, hugging him and stuff and going, it's okay, I understand. I'm like, if you actually love Rand as, like, you say you do, that's not the way you'd be acting, unless you know that actually he likes him and he just doesn't understand.
He gay.
And there's all these really close, they go right up to each other's faces, and Rand is even doing, like, the love triangle of eye, mouth on Perrin as he's looking at him. I'm like, I never even noticed it, because if you know the source material, you're like, well, obviously he isn't. But then you know what the showrunner would do. And he's even said it's going to get worse. What did he say? Anything that hints, anything that we can make, anything that we think hints that way, we'll expand upon. And if people do not have it, we will make it for them. So this entire show is like his fan fiction.
It's just like this show.
Wow. Yeah.
I did notice this. She cried too. But
I
she's
didn't
like
get
a
this
man.
scene. Like, what? I don't even know why she went to grab her chin. It was weird. Don't save your pity for me. Save it for the orcs. It's like, what? Why would she even pity you? It's like you can't see from it. You're a queen. You've got servants that can do everything for you.
She's pity because she's blind now, and she's like a blindist. She's like, you're basically dead in this world. Like you're basically dead because you don't have any eyes anymore.
I'm just gonna leave you on this mountain. Hopefully, you pick the right direction and don't walk off.
Oh my god. I mean, don't they have like elven magic that can bring back sight? Like, I don't like.
Well,
really?
Maybe she'll meet the wizard and he'll heal her or something.
Yeah, probably. My god, and then he cries. I couldn't handle the scene. I just broke out in laughter because I was like, there's no way they made this guy in such a bitch. Like he was all being strong, and then all of a sudden they're like, like we're gonna come back, and he's like.
Well, yeah, but at this point, because I still don't think he realizes what that horse was. I think he was just letting the horse go because he didn't want to come back. Everybody knows the horse is going to save a seal door. But for some reason, because he's just thick, is basically the only explanation you can come up with. But so at this point, he thinks his son's dead, and now he's realized not only should he have left the elf in the sea, all of this is his fault. And now all of his people are going to come back, and he's going to have to spend more time with her. I think that's justification for a breakdown.
You know what? You're probably right. Mind you,
you're going to have to spend months of time with Galadriel bossing you about.
He wanted to kill himself at that point. He's like, oh, no. But then the Harfoots do their thing, whatever, who cares? And then they're on the boat. this whole scene
the tiny little boat. This boat gets smaller every time I look at it. It's got 100 people, 100 horses, all of their resources, and it's got one rowing boat on it.
Well, but that's the thing, though. I think they're all dead now, right? That's the point. Is that they're all dead?
You can only fit one rowing boat on it. Is my point. It's like just from size.
Yeah. Just that sizing.
That poor little whoever's in that boat is going to have to do 50 trips to shore just to get the people off, and then how are you even going to get the horses off? Like. Is he going to fit in the rowing boat? Are you going to have the crane one at a time?
Was the rowing boat on there the whole time? Like when the first time that they came by? Because aren't they supposed to have like the rowing boats on the side of the boat so that it's not taking up room of the people that are on the boat? I'm confused. Maybe I'm not a boat person. I don't know. I'm not much of a boat person.
Well, it's because this ship is... There'd probably be about 10 people on it. That's why. So one rowing boat would be fine.
That would be good. Oh my god, why?
Like, if there was 10 people and underneath was just cargo and it was a trading vessel, it'd make sense. But...
Yeah, but no. Oh, and then, that's when Galadriel and the elf dude reunite. And then the Persian girl comes up and she's like, where are you gonna go? The fresh start. Let's have a fresh start because they're gonna go somewhere and have a fresh start or something. Wait, where are they
they're going to an ex-Numenorean colony or something?
Yeah. That's where they're gonna go.
Like, why? They're not Numenoreans.
Right. But they want to go bang and make more kids, I guess. I don't know. Where will you go? A fresh start. That's where we're gonna go. There he is.
I mean, if that was a big deal to them, why didn't they just leave before? If it's just possible for them to get up and walk wherever they want and go wherever they want, they could have left that town at any time.
But they didn't want to. Because now she realizes that she's more than just a healer. She's like a fucking mayor and stuff, and she can do things. So, did they even figure out what was happening to the animals in the town? That was the whole point. But they didn't really figure it out.
I can only assume that was meant to be like latent evil infecting them. No, they didn't. It's like they went to where the cow had that happen to him, and orcs were there. But that doesn't explain what happened to the cow.
I mean, I'm still like just thinking that the reason that was happening was because the orcs were taking a piss in the river, and their piss was poisonous to the cows who were drinking the river, and then that's how they made them sick. But we don't actually get a reason why the cows were sick.
I mean, even this, like, because you could have said he was going to leave with the elves. Actually, yeah, he was going to leave with the elves, so he doesn't even care about it that much. Because at one point he was just going to go.
He was going to
go.
Now
for some reason he's going to stay with her.
No, but
But
he
if-
realized he's in love and that he has a son. He was like, wait a minute, I have a son. I can't really be a deadbeat dad. So
But
I'm
if
not
he
gonna
was
be.
so convinced that he was going to go and follow that cow, like, because now they've just given up. They're like, yeah, I know Southlands have been destroyed, and the orcs are going to wipe out the earth, but not our problem anymore. So,
yeah, bye.
If he was concerned at first, he should be concerned now, not just be like, yeah, we were just going to go off into the middle of nowhere and sit in a house. He should
Why
be more
isn't
concerned
the
about what's
river
just happened.
always right? I don't know. I mean, all rivers lead to the ocean. They should be right too, right? I don't.
Yeah, maybe it has to merge with the other water to get like the cumulative knowledge
To become
and
right.
wisdom.
Yeah, the collective
You need
knowledge.
to-
It's
like a lake might be right a lot of the time, but not always.
It's like the fucking changelings in DS9. Like they're individual.
It goes back to their home planet. once we merge, we bring back our intellects that we've gathered from going down the river.
God damn it! This show is so fucking bad.
Yeah, but this is what happens. I did the same thing in Halo. The show's so bad. You start making up like random, extraneous, funny stories about the characters. It's way more interesting than the character.
Just so you can laugh, yeah. Just
Yeah.
so you can be like, well, at least I'm not crying. Yeah. So we got Aaron Herb. Thank you so much for the 10. Says it looks like SJW, but there is something new. It's not humanly possible to be that inconsistent with $1 billion. Something new happened in the production process.
Well, they're saying it's 700 million now, not a billion. So, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What's a casual 300 million between friends?
Hey, did you read that article? Like, because you shared
Mhm.
it with me. Do you know what the gist of it is? Can you tell everyone what the gist is here?
Oh, that one's not so much. It really seems like a fluff piece for most. I'd have to scroll because it's got like it talks about Lizzo and stuff. It's really weird. It starts talking about celebrities and all kinds of stuff.
Lizzo, why did she guest star in the next episode? Is she
They've
gonna
got
be
a
the
quote from
Balrog?
her. They've got a quote from her in it. It's a really weird piece actually. The more interesting ones are the two showrunner ones.
Oh my god!
This is like, no, the TV shows mean a lot to us, and we're going to commit more in the future. MGM is going to be. I know we haven't done anything with MGM for months, but we will. We're investing loads of money. It's it seems like someone trying to desperately save their job after a massive failure. That's what it seems.
Wow, I thought she was gonna be the Balrog for a second. I got excited. Speaking of the Balrog, we did see a shot of the Balrog in this episode. There he is. Or maybe I should say she, because they're probably gonna like turn her into a woman.
Well, I mean, women can be orcs too. I don't know why they can't be Balrogs.
Yeah, why not?
Equal opportunity evil.
It's
That's what we do.
time. It's
It is.
time to have a female Balrog. I'm just saying.
Imagine if they like change the horns to be like a hairstyle or something. Just so you
Oh
could tell.
my god. But seriously though, why would you show this now? Like, isn't this like, wouldn't this be like the
already knew it.
final? Yeah, but
No, this is exactly the same footage that we had in the trailer months ago.
I know.
So it's like, oh, there's a Balrog. It's like, yeah, everybody knew.
Everyone knew.
It's like Red Dwarf. Everybody's dead, Dave. What? So it's like, yes, everybody's
Yeah.
dead, Dave. It's the exact same. Everybody knew. No. What about the people of that know that everybody?
John Thomas for 5 says 100 monkeys typing on typewriters would do better. That's true. They would. They would. I love monkeys. Russell Hall for 2 says the Noldor were brandished from the Valinor. Russell Hall knows things. Aaron Herb for 5 says since Adar would have succeeded without the Numenoreans, the whole Galadriel adventures during the season turned out useless. Oh my god.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, them appearing achieved nothing.
Nothing. They just
It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark all over again.
like it's literally like even you could because I was just thinking
Yeah,
like
if they hadn't
had
existed, the
old
exact same
dude
events would have
fucking-
played out.
Yeah, they had the old dude fucking do the thingy that set off the fucking water that set off the Mordor thing. Like they didn't even need anyone from this episode to do or from the elves or Numenor.
The only things that would have changed is Arendelle. Well, he may have been able to escape the inn. Bronwyn probably would have died because she was injured, and that's it. Everything else would have played out exactly the same.
That's true. I'm like trying to think about if anything would be different, but no. I don't think they would be.
No, so you know, Arendelle better do something. Well, no, Bronwyn better do something really important. Otherwise, all that wasted time in Numenor.
Wow. Bronwyn didn't even figure out what was the poison. Like that was
even heal Halbrand. He's got a stab wound. How dangerous can it be?
She was a healer. Why is she there?
Why didn't she just go and get more seeds? Like we've already proven that these seeds can pull her back from a stab wound.
You know what would have been made more sense even with like, let's say we want to do the story with the stupid healer chick, like you know, and the elf dude. Like, why go to Numenor when they're going to cure Halbrand, right? Like, why wouldn't she be like, oh, you're gonna go use elven medicine? Can I come with you so I can learn about elvish medicine? Like at least something like, okay, like I want to learn about my craft war and that I know that elvish medicine is more strong, so I can help my people in the long run. I don't know, whatever.
I think it was Az that pointed out though that earlier in the series they specifically said elves don't have healers. They have artists. They just make statues. Because they said, like, because we heal from basically any wound, we don't need healers. So
right.
Arendelle was the one that said it, so he should have known. We have artisans that make statues because they're beautiful and that heals the soul. So she's going to go all the way up there and they're not going to be able to heal her because they don't have healers. Because they just heal.
Apparently. Nina's thinking too much, I'm being told. That's true.
And Bronwyn was the one that asked the question, so she knows they don't have healers as well.
This show makes no fucking sense. Zagros Ozcan, thank you so much for the $9.99. Says, I think the magic meteor guy is Sauron. He is just still not fully conscious of his own identity after centuries of healing. The M&M woman will make him remember. That's their mission. Thoughts? I think I think Halbrand is Sauron. I think that dude that we think is Gandalf might be Sauron. I think they might kind of throw in that like what's the word, like a twist to say like, you know, oh, you guys thought it was Gandalf and it's actually Sauron. Like I don't know, maybe that, but I don't think he's Sauron though. Your thoughts?
I mean, well, the issue is we know people that know who it is and they've known from the start.
Yeah.
And they've predicted like literally episodes in advance exactly what was going to happen in the episode. So if they've been right about that, I don't know why they wouldn't be right about Sauron.
Right, exactly. So yeah, that there's that point that we know it's Halbrand. Yeah, like spoilers, but it's Halbrand. But I mean, it's Halbrand though. Like I mean, you can tell without knowing.
They literally had an episode about him wanting to forge things. I mean,
yes, like I mean, and like his first line was like, oh, like something about like what was his first line? Like something like, oh, not everything's as it seems. Like
yeah, because his very first line was, "For you, the tide may be coming in and out," and she just went, "Guess I'll die," and just went back in the ocean. But yeah, then he said, everyone aren't who they appear or something like that.
Yeah,
then on that same thing, he had something. He said, "What was it? I have hidden plans too," or something like that. It was
something like that. Looks can be deceiving. Yeah, he says something weird. I don't know. Who cares? Fuck that guy. Yeah, there you go. Everybody's saying looks can be deceiving, but yeah, that's what he kind of said. So yeah, I think we know that's him, but I think they might throw in as a shock, like, oh my god, it's not Gandalf after all. It's Sauron, because he's supposed to be like older than Gandalf. So
I don't even know why Meaty Guy or the Harfoots are in this season. They've done
I
nothing.
don't know.
They haven't contributed to the story at all.
No.
They haven't even connected with it. So why?
Also,
there's so many things. Like, why does this exist? And I think if instead of going, well, we want this, 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 and this, they'd gone, well, what is the purpose for this? Does it contribute anything? They would have cut it. Because one of the, like, even, this is the stupid thing, even if you watch videos about how to make YouTube videos, one of the main advice you will get is if your content in that video does not serve a purpose, cut it. Doesn't matter how much you like it, doesn't matter how good you think your video is, if it doesn't actually contribute anything to the viewer, cut it.
Cut it. It's true.
Because a better, more condensed version that gives people the same thing in less time is better than just dragging it out. And there is no reason for these people to exist in this series.
I was just looking at the fucking last scene was so stupid. He's like, "What should we call it, Lord Father?"
Oh, yeah, and I kind of like, does he name it after his own name? Because he says, "What should we call it?" And they're going, Adar, Adar, Adar,
Yeah.
Adar. As the game scrolls up, and he's like, Mordor. And it's like, it rhymes.
Yeah.
Did you just change a few letters?
He's like, my name is Adar. My name Mordor.
I don't know why else they'd be chanting his name as the name is revealed if they weren't trying to hint that it was just him changing it a little bit.
I mean, I'm kind of surprised they didn't change it to Adar. Like, I mean, like they would have been like, oh yeah, by the way, this is we're changing the lore. And we're no longer going to call it Mordor. We're just going to call it Adar from now on.
Yeah.
Just
Only
saying.
when Sauron comes in and wipes it off the face of the earth does it get changed. It
Yeah,
reeks
there
of
it
like
is
two
again.
people that are desperate to insert themselves into something greater than themselves. They want to be the people that go and do... This is why people do prequels. They want to go back and insert themselves, like attach themselves irrevocably to the canon. So that now whenever you think of how Mount Doom was created, well, they can be like, well, we did that. We did that.
We did that. We
It's-
did that. Oh, God.
So I'm against prequels as a matter of course now.
I don't like prequels either. I'm not a fan of prequels.
Sequels have to stand on their own because
I agreed.
they have to carry their own weight. They've got nothing else to go upon. I mean, they can do member berries and stuff, and maybe they can use a few characters, but by and large, they've got nothing to build on. Prequels just seem like an ego trip. It's like, this is a great thing that people love, and so I just want to be part of it.
Agreed. Zod Lander, thank you so much for the 50, says, I have a theory for the Meteor Wizard. It is Saruman beginning a redemption arc before he becomes evil. See, I think that too. I think it's going to be
good
Saruman.
for most of his life.
Yeah. And he's older than Gandalf, so technically it would make sense if he came down to the earth first or whatever.
It doesn't make sense for the timeline.
No.
There are none of them exist in this period.
Nothing makes sense in this show. I just think everybody wants Gandalf, so they're gonna be like, no, it's Saruman.
I don't know. I think they may be biding their time and they don't know who it is or haven't decided. And then it'll be like, well, we need viewers.
Are we gonna get a reveal next week for who it is or no?
Not for the wizard.
No?
No.
Wow, so they're gonna keep this under wraps till season 2, allegedly.
Yeah, that's why I think they may not have decided. And so then,
so they haven't decided.
If the viewers are down, they can be like, "Oh yeah, it's Gandalf," and we're bringing everyone back. they literally do anything, and this is the whole point. This is why you can be like, "Well, okay, so they're not supposed to exist in this time period." They would. So you can't rule anything out based off what's it supposed to be like. This is why I'm like, could Adar be Caliban? Well, it doesn't make any sense. It wouldn't stop him.
It wouldn't stop him. That would be weird, though. That would be really, really weird. Although, kind of would make sense. In their weird, twisted mind, it would make sense, but not for us.
I mean, Lady G did a whole story, and I'm like, yeah, I can imagine some 2-bit hack coming up with that.
I can see it. I can kind of see it because it's like they don't really explain why Adar is evil or why he thinks the way he does or why he created the orc thing.
She even went into the fact that, that would give her an excuse for forging like a mithril dagger because that could be the only thing bringing him back from the brink. And she has to sacrifice her love by stabbing him with the dagger, which might kill him, but also it could be the only way to save him. And that's just a price she's willing to pay. Like, she does this whole story. It's really cool.
I'm gonna have to go watch this video. Is it a video on her channel?
It's just a couple of tweets she did.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to go read those.
It's one of those things where it's like, that's like so cliche and basic. It could well happen.
Yeah, it could really happen. I could see it. Shark dentures. That's a hilarious name for $2. Cost of consistency $701 million.
Sorry, you just didn't hit our basic quality amount. Yeah.
John Thomas for 10 says it was the Harfoots that caused Saruman to turn evil. It's true. See, they want to say it like they kind of gave a hint that it's Sauron, like it's Gandalf because of that song. Like, you know, the whole that line with the all who are lost, all who not all who wander are lost. And he learned it from the Harfoots. So I was like, it could be Gandalf. But since they like didn't say this, I mean, Sauron could have learned that, or Gandalf could have learned that from Sauron in their story. Like, we don't know. They could.
Yeah,
they
and
could
it
do
explains
whatever.
Gandalf's like love of hobbits and stuff. But
Yeah.
I think they literally just watched the movies and just tried to imitate them. That's why
I think so,
Arendelle
too.
is a budget Aragorn and stuff. They just wanted each of the characters. That's why the hobbits exist in the first place. Well, you know, it wouldn't be Lord of the Rings without hobbits.
I heard a
So we just-
rumor that the guy who played Gandalf, like Sir Ian McKellen, is that? Yeah. That he doesn't like the Rings of Power, and he said some stuff about it. Is that true?
I've not seen it. The last I heard of him, so unless you said it after this, he was like, what does it? They said, would you be willing to appear? And he said, I've not been asked, but from what I know about Gandalf, there's no reason why he couldn't appear. And I think he kind of hinted that he'd be open to it. But there was no plans at the time.
Oh, okay.
But I do, if they asked him and offered him enough money, I'm sure he'd go.
I'm sure he would do it for enough money.
And it would draw people. It would get viewers.
It would.
If they need the viewers.
It would. But they don't need the viewers, Disparu. I mean,
no.
It's the most watched show in television history. Just
It'll be a
like
celebration of its
Biden's
success.
election. It's the same thing. It's like, you know how Biden got elected with the most votes in history? It's the same fucking thing. And if you deny it, you're racist. Just letting you know. Court Castle for 10 says Elendil just walked out of the village without seeing Isildur's body. Bronwyn didn't search for Theo. Adar is the only half decent parent in the show, or half good character at all. Go Team Adar. I know he has like at least some. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, he didn't just walk out without seeing his body. He didn't even look for him. He just left with the army.
He was like, I'm assuming he's either dead, or if he's not dead, like I'll find him, I guess.
He'll
I
be
don't
fine.
know. He'll be fine. He's one of the main characters.
His plot armor will protect him. Because that guy, look, he is dead. Like, that house fell on him, and all of the fire burned. He's gone. There's no way out of it. There's literally no physical way he could have survived. But we know he has to survive, and so that's why he's going to survive.
He's got plot armor, as you said. John Thomas for 10 says L.E. Modessit writes his fantasy novels as a series of prequels going back in time in each novel, but then he's actually talented. Hey, that's an interesting method of writing. Never read a novel like that, but that's interesting. If you're talented and
there's
can
a
pull it
movie
off,
like that.
that's pretty cool. But
Was it Memento or something? There's a movie that goes backwards
yes,
in time.
well, Memento does that. Yes,
Mm.
like, but that was that's like Christopher Nolan at his height. Like, that was one of his best movies.
Yeah, and it, like, when I said I'm against prequels, I don't mean from the actual author. I mean other people taking a different IP and adapting
No,
it
I
with
know what you
prequels.
mean. I mean, I even like Star Wars prequels. I like prequels before it was cool to be prequels. I mean, the Star Wars ones. But I've always not liked prequels in general, like other than Star Wars. Because I think that it's like I'm more of a future person. Like, I want to know what will happen next, not what happened before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm always like kind of like, well, what? Like, what's the next thing? I don't care about, like, even with Star Trek. Like, I remember when they were like, oh, we're gonna come out with Enterprise. You know, I was kind of like, I don't care. Like, I don't care about what happened in the past. Like, I want to know what happens next. Like, what happens after Voyager gets home? Like, that's what I want to know. And then they made Enterprise, and then I was like, whatever. So Enterprise was fine. It was actually a good series, and don't count the last
Well,
episode.
yeah, Enterprise was another one. Like, I didn't like the idea of prequels as well because I wanted to, especially being a fan of Voyager, I wanted to see what happened to them more than
Me
anything else.
too.
But Enterprise, I did not like that series when it first came out. Again, another series I went back, I'm like, this is actually really good.
This is really good.
My issue now is I don't know whether my age has made me appreciate things that I didn't, or whether things have just got so bad. You go back, like, even the lowest quality stuff then is incredible now.
I think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Like you've probably matured more, but things have suffered also. You know what I mean? Like it's just, but like, you know, but you cannot compare Enterprise to like, you know, the height of TNG or like, you know what I mean? Like like there's no, I don't know. I think
that's
it's
probably
both.
what it is. I was comparing it to The Next Generation at the time because that's what I would have been watching.
Because that's what you
I'm comparing
had,
it to
like
Discovery.
Yeah, now exactly. Because that's what happened with me too. Like, so like after Enterprise, and we didn't have Star Trek for a long time, then they're like, oh, we're gonna come out with Discovery. And I was like, oh, yay, new Trek. Oh boy, was I naive. Because I fucking checked out Discovery and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, and I was at first I was really upset because I was like, prequel, like they're gonna go back again. Like, who cares? You know, and this is after JJ Trek and all, you know, all that stuff. And I was like, I didn't like JJ Trek. So, you know, afterwards I was like, wait, prequels again? Like, why can't we go to the future? Like, I want to know what happens later on. But then yeah, we got Discovery and well, the rest is history. I never even watch Picard. Did you watch Picard?
Oh, I've seen old Picard.
Oof.
Oh, season 2 got so much worse. Yeah, like season 1 is one of those things like it can't get worse than this. Like, not only is this not Star Trek, but it is just, and this is again the bad adaptations. They're not just bad of the IP; they're just bad shows in general of anything.
I didn't watch it. I was like, I cannot destroy like Captain
Season
Picard.
2 destroys the Borg.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not doing it. I can't do it.
Yeah, but
I
what
won't
about
do it.
if I came to you with a pitch of a series where the entire point of the series is to turn the Borg into peace-loving hippies that go around spreading love around the universe?
Stop.
Because that's what they did. No, that's literally what they did. The Borg's mission is to now spread love around the universe.
The Borg are the left. And they think that's what they think they're doing. They think they're spreading love across the universe, but they're really just assimilating everyone to become fucking commies. That's what's happening. Wake up, people. CJ5. Sorry.
Rather than assimilating people on planets, they will go round and like use their technology to heal the dying, and that's how you become the Borg now. It's all like you have to agree, and they will save your life.
I hate this. I hate
the Borg are one of the best ever villains, and Q. I think Q is incredible. I think the actor is amazing, and whenever he's appeared in like games or anything, it's always made the game made me like the game more just because he's so great. And in this, he cries, and it's like, oh, it's the end of my life, and they just destroy him as a character.
I hate this world. Are you excited for season 3?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have been, but they're gonna make such great videos.
I know, yeah, you know, content. I feel you. I can't. I'm not watching it. I'm not doing it.
Even now, describing season 2, I'm laughing because that's I don't know. Maybe I think it's part of British culture. You always like the underdog, and especially Americans like to be sort of the hero. They want to be the leader of the thing. I want to be the best. The Brits are just like, we're kind of downtrodden. We lost our empire, and we find it funny. That's the point. And so you get into the point, like, this is awful.
Yeah,
because you kind of revel in it.
You gotta laugh, or else you're gonna cry, you know. And Brits are like, we're not gonna cry because we're not bitches, so we might as well laugh. Now, let me ask you one more question. Are you excited about the end of, since you're a Brit and all, are you excited for the new chapter of what is going to be Doctor Who?
I used to be. When I found out they were bringing off, what's his name? I forgot his name.
Shooty?
No, I'm on about the showrunner.
Oh, David Banoff or whatever his name is. I forget.
No, I'd know it. Like, I'm terrible with names. So
I am too.
He's basically the guy which brought Doctor Who back in sort of the modern form. He made it all, and those are still my favorite episodes. He was the one that worked with David. He was the one that worked with David Tennant, who's my favorite Doctor. And they could have had everything. And they've just decided...
Russell T. Davis, right? Russell T. Davis, I think.
Yeah, because there's Davis and Moffat.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why you naming one made me remember the other one, but that's...
I'm so bad with names. We're both good friends.
I go by description, so I can like tell you what time you did it.
Yeah, the bald guy. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
In my reviews, I don't just give people nicknames for like fun. That's how I remember these people.
Did you know that people like us traumatize people? Because a woman on the set of Dahmer was traumatized because they got her name wrong. So people like us traumatize people.
It takes a long time of repetition and talking to people before their name gets drilled into my head. That's
Do you
just
remember
the way my
my
brain
name, even though it's on the screen?
it's on the screen, so
Does it count? I have to keep looking at your name. I'm like, wait, what was his name again? Disparu? this something? Okay, it's all good. We're good. We're fine.
Yeah, it's like that's just the way it's always been. Because I don't even really think names are that important. Because as long as people know who you're talking to, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? I mean, you can call me Persian girl. I wouldn't mind. It's fine.
Yeah, or you.
Curly hair.
This is the perfect example. You're the only one here, so unless we think I'm insane and talking to myself, then it's obvious anyway.
Oh my god.
But Doctor Who it could have been amazing with him because he's got the talent to have made it good, and then with the person they chose, you're like, this is looking a bit weird, and then they do the first interview and they just double down on everything that destroyed it.
Oh god.
Oh, okay, there we are.
So bad.
So
I
no, I don't have any hope.
I know I don't have any hope for that show, that place either. It's really sad too. I used to be a huge Doctor Who fan too, and then I stopped because I was like, all right, that's enough of this. CJ for 5. Sorry, let me just get this one. It is unbelievable that Lord of the Rings product can be this boring. Very true. Go ahead.
It always amazes me that anything is, but so many shows are boring. Like I said before, I don't know how, because British shows always used to have 6 episodes, and Americans always had 22. And now, for some reason, they have less story and less episodes for 10, 20, 30 times the budget. I actually don't know how it's physically possible.
I don't either.
Nobody gets fired. That's what amazes me. If you make something this awful, and then you just, we're just carrying on.
Well, I mean, like, it's so weird to me, too, because, like, Zaslav, for example, started firing some people, and, like, things started to change at DC a little bit. But then he's all doubling down on freaking Ezra Miller. And I'm like, like, Ezra Miller, of all people, is somebody you should probably fire. But, hey, whatever. And now they're, like, doing reshoots and stuff with him. I'm like, why would you double down on this, dude? Oh, I know, because he doubled down on you. Never mind. Well, you know how things go in Hollywood. Shark Dentures for 2 says, Disparu, the eternal optimist. I'll make videos. Yeah, why not?
Oh, you have to. I bought She-Hulk merch. I'm trying to be She-Hulk's biggest fan. There's only about 4 of us on the internet, and so I think that's pretty good odds of me being number 1 there. I doubt anyone else has bought the merch.
I stopped doing She-Hulk reviews so I can do this one on because I was reviewing She-Hulk on Sundays, and I was like, you know what? We're jumping ship on She-Hulk. We're going to Rings of Power on this one.
But the thing is, it takes me the same amount of time to record a She-Hulk review as a Rings of Power one, even though it's like 3 times the length, because She-Hulk manages to like condense the crap into 20 minutes.
Right.
But more happens in an episode of She-Hulk than happens in Rings of Power.
Which is weird. Although I feel like nothing actually did happen though. Did they finally show her costume in the last episode?
Yeah, it's like a t-shirt and shorts.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a sports outfit. That's all it is. And this is meant to be like one of the best designers ever.
Yeah, so it was a lame. Slaction Hero. I like your name. Thank you for becoming a member of the Infinity Channel. Welcome. And so I'm caught up with Super Chat. So thank you so much for joining me today. This is a great chat. This was really fun. What were you going to say?
I've posted the image in the private chat.
Oh.
It's not how I remember it from the show, but it's basically it.
Oh, this is her costume. This looks like shit. What?
I mean, that's someone's like artist impression of it, I think. Rather, but in the show,
this is like this. She looks like a biker. So she's just like like a
Yeah,
bicyclist.
That's why I think it's an artist's impression, because she's a different build and everything in that than in the show, but that's kind of a costume.
But that's the costume, though. Like, this looks...
Yeah.
This looks like... this doesn't look cool.
You
It
barely
doesn't look
see it,
cool.
to be honest. It's...
I'm gonna watch it just to see what...
There's a great moment in it, you know, where she
As
tries to save a
opposed-
hostage, and she walks up, and he's got, like, 10 wraps of sort of mountain climbing rope around him to tie him to the chair, and she just walks up and pulls. I'm like, you've just killed the hostage.
Did he?
Do you
Yeah, did
understand
he
how
not
strong
die?
that rope is? No, well, apparently the rope broke because it's on a little wooden chair. I'm like, no, what would have happened? You've just pulled that rope through his body. Is what happened there.
You
Like,
just pulled out his spine, like,
Yeah.
with the rope, because
like,
you're a Hulk.
I don't think they realize how strong like the mountain climbing rope is, but there's some great videos online where they will cut away the strands one by one, and there's like 250 strands in this rope, and one of them will hold your body weight. And this was wrapped around about 10 times. That guy is dead.
That guy's dead. Yeah, because those things are really... Oh my God. Wow. All right. Well, thank you for joining me tonight. It was an absolute pleasure to get to talk to you, even though it was about this stupid show. You are definitely welcome back on this channel. So if you're ever wanting to talk about whatever show, you're like, hey, Nina, are you guys talking about this? I want in on this topic. Just hit me up, and you are more than welcome to come on, hang out with us.
The worse the show, the more likely I'll be talking about it.
Hell yeah. I mean, the next episode is the last one, right? For this shit show.
Both
Okay,
She-Hulk
that's
and
gonna
Rings of Power end same week.
Wow, I cannot believe they're gonna be both over. Thank the Lord, because I'm done. But yeah, so if you want to come back next week, I know you're doing EFAP next week though, so
yeah.
So that'll be fun for you. But for those of you that don't know, please tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah, Disbrew on YouTube. If you want to hear someone rip apart terrible television in great detail, trying to be as entertaining as I can do it, then that's what my channel is. Yeah, it's my favorite videos to make are the reviews. Anything else in sort of the other days, sort of news and pop culture stuff, other stuff that expands on just how evil various different characters are in whatever show happens to be, because at the moment, I don't know what's happened with Hollywood, but they don't seem to be able to understand what actual good is, and everyone's evil. So it's an interesting time to be alive.
Yeah, you got to check out my video, and you'll know why, because you know, they have an agenda. They want you to join their dark side for a reason. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. And everybody, you want to subscribe to Sprue's information, as well as all the panelists is in the description down below. And as for me, you can find me. What day is it today? Sunday. Tomorrow, I will be on Toxic Femininity on Midnight's Edge at 8 Eastern. And then, of course, on Tuesday, I got the Real BBC with Az, Gary, and Mahler. So we'll be hanging out and talking probably more about She-Hulk and Rings of Power and all that kind of good stuff. So come and join us there. I think we're on Az's channel this week. So yes, as for you guys, thank you everybody in the chat for being here tonight, smashing the like, sharing the stream, all that good stuff. If you super chatted, bonus thank yous to you. And if you became a member, same for that. Thank you so much for becoming a member and supporting the channel. You guys are absolutely amazing. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Let me find my outro. Okay, here we go. Bye-bye.
Salon Selectives presents hair so beautiful you feel like you just stepped out of a salon.
Salon shine. Salon Selectives. Salon glow. Salon Selectives.
Introducing Salon Selectives, new from Helene Curtis. 4 salon shampoos, 4 salon conditioners. You select the combination that will give you salon beautiful hair.
Salon